Shit, my stuff's almost as loud as Culture's.
That was loud.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Yeah, you know, not bad.
Yeah.
How you doing?
It was a hell of a show. Take care, guys.
I feel like it's the first day of the rest of my life. But I feel like that every day.
You know, it was an interesting day today. I worked most of the day. Then in the mail, I got something. It was kind of cool.
Was it the summons to appear? I hate those.
Well, yeah, sort of.
What?
No, actually, it was this from our fan Daryl Brewer.
Holy cow.
Oh, shit. Yo, Tom's buying Elder Scrolls.
So thank you, Daryl. I saw you in the chat, and he also sent me a really nice pen as well. So thank you so much for that, Daryl. I appreciate that.
Wait. The pen is for you to write the thank you note.
Of course.
Very much so.
All right.
That's insane. Yo,
yeah,
you got the best fans ever.
I couldn't believe it myself. But I sent a picture to Andre, and he's like, nice Photoshop.
That is amazing.
He still don't believe it exists. So, but I don't blame him.
I've got one.
You got one too?
I've had one since they released almost practically.
Well, come join my fucking guild.
What are you playing?
Elder Scrolls, man.
I didn't buy that today. I bought a couple games, but not that one.
It's just what I'm addicted to right now, and it seems like the missions never.
I don't think they have that one at Walmart.
No, you just buy it digitally through the store.
Gotcha. So yes, thank you for that, Daryl Brewer. I appreciate that very, very much. One of the most generous gifts I've ever gotten in my life. I tried to pay him for it, but he said, "No, sir, no, I won't have that." So thank you so darn much.
Yeah, because he had a hump for that too.
I've only seen one once before, and it was in some little old lady was carrying it, and I seriously thought about kicking the hell out of her and stealing it.
And I pushed her down, and that's
I was going to give her the money,
but
throw the money at her and run.
That's the way to do it.
Kitty Bear's like, Tom ain't getting no more super chats from me. I don't blame you, Kitty Bear. That's all right. But thank you, everybody, for being here. Welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. We have Culture Casino with us tonight. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing incredibly well. Maybe not nearly as well as you are with that wonderful gift, but that is I'm doing great. I will never ever complain. Every time I'm on the right side of the ground.
I will say this: I've had a hell of a year, so Daryl has no idea how much that kind of helped my spirits. So thank you for that, Daryl. And speaking of spirits, someone who's generally drunk when he gets close to them, Jesse, how you doing?
Wow.
Oh, I can't complain. It's been a good day.
He'll never turn down a good spirit.
Yeah, last night I was doing a gaming stream and the phone rang and it was a lawyer. So there's more information on that whole thing with that. You remember the random Scooby-Doo haunted house phone call about some great aunt or whatever?
I want your house.
Yeah, no, the other one.
Well, there's something else going on now. What's up?
Yeah, it was like my grandmother grew up in a work camp because her father just left the family, right? So there was brothers.
No,
and
you didn't
sisters.
tell me this shit.
Yeah, apparently, one of her sisters had a daughter, and she's passed, and there's no heirs. So they hunted down like everybody who's alive throughout my tree, throughout the census, and now there's gonna divvy up stuff. So I'm gonna get something.
Except for you got to give a kidney.
Nah, that's what I said. I said, do I have to spend the night in a haunted house? They're like, no.
Interesting.
Did you offer that you would anyways?
I said, how come that's not a standard clause? Because it can't come up that often. Really weed out the weak people, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't even think this whole "we'll track down somebody in the family" thing was real. I just
Not me neither. I thought it was
a...
bullshit at first until she started telling me all about my grandmother, and I was like, yeah, you wouldn't know that.
I'm just like, I've seen that shit in movies before. I'm like, yeah, that's not how it probably works. They just turn it over to the
Yeah, scammers don't actually do research; they just make stuff up.
Right. But yeah, speaking
It's
of
weird.
research, somebody who does an awful lot of it, I'm sure. Mr. Script Doctor, how you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing well. A little winded. Had to run out, drop something off in the girlfriend's place, and come back to make the show. So outside of that, pretty good.
Glad to hear it. And we have a super chat from Steven, aka Deleted Scenes, saying, "Hail Midnight's Edge panel mods and chat." Thank you for being here, Steven. We appreciate that. Also, let's say hello to everybody in the chat. We got 6 in the house. Hail 6. We got Lindsay in the house. We got Trav 101. Cartoon Man. Hamdinger is here. Rico Zorro is here. Tim Hayes. Fanto 5692. Daryl Brewer is here as well, as I said before. Sander Hammerslag's here. Siege Perilous is here. Mr. Dragon. And so many more. Thank you for being here, as well as Kitty Bear, who I said hello to earlier as well. Marks 47 is here. Thank you so much, kids. We're glad to have you here. I think I've seen Tina Bojan here as well. Spider Unlimited. Thank you so much for being here and being members. Mondo Bizarro is here as well. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, kind of a slow news day for the most part, outside of the news that we dropped. But we already kind of talked about that on the last episode. But it appears this series for James Gunn has been doing pretty well. I haven't got a chance to see it yet.
Doing well, and James Gunn also revealed that Volume 3 of Guardians of the Galaxy is the last of that team in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
That's funny considering what Culture was saying just before you got here.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks like, and I'm clipping the story now, so I'll probably make a video on it, but it looks as if Bradley Cooper is indicated he will not be in the MCU as Rocket Raccoon anymore. So there you go.
Good.
Okay. You said that's good? I like
I'm not a big fan of Bradley Cooper.
Well, I still like Rocket Raccoon.
I like Rocket Raccoon a lot, yeah. I liked him in some of the cartoon shows. I dug some of his stuff in the comics. I'm not a big Bradley Cooper fan personally, but, you know, that's it.
Wow, somebody's got something against Bradley. What did he do to you?
He's a boring actor.
Oh, wow.
He didn't steal your girlfriend or something? Like, you make it sound like very personal.
Oh, well, I mean, he almost ruined Wedding Crashers as a film.
Really?
Oh, yeah. There's some drama behind that.
Wow.
Because he was playing his villain role too serious. And
why was he like committing crimes on set?
No. No, but he was supposed to play it like he's just the obnoxious, jerky, fiance type, but he's playing it like he was like some type of abuser. Because here's a fun fact: even though Bradley Cooper's been in some comedies and he's able to do some performances from it, he doesn't understand comedy at all.
They should have just told him to act like his mother.
Yeah, I don't think he knows how to do that.
So James Gunn is eyeing a second Suicide Squad spin-off series for HBO Max and says Peacemaker has a really good chance for a season 2. Culture, you got a lovely reading voice. Would you like to read through this for us?
Oh, absolutely. Hang on 2 seconds.
Send you the link here.
Yeah.
Boom. It's in the private chat. There you go, sure.
Oh,
James Gunn
trying to look weird. Like
he's looking a little distinguished, but he looks more and more like an old lesbian every day.
Yeah, but it looks like he dyed it. It doesn't look natural.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it looks kind of weird.
From Deadline, James Gunn eyeing second Suicide Squad spin-off series for HBO Max, says Peacemaker has really good chance for season 2. Exclusive. Here's another Suicide Squad spin-off series in the works. James Gunn told us recently on the upcoming episode of Deadline's Hero Nation. We're working on something else now, another TV show that's connected to that universe, Gunn told us. I can't quite say. In addition, Gunn says about a second season of Peacemaker, which recently dropped episode 5 today, there's a really good chance of that. We're the biggest show in the world right now, Gunn continued, speaking from the set of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 in Atlanta. According to sources, Gunn has approached HBO Max with the idea for another series built around one of the characters in Suicide Squad. We hear the project is in the embryonic stages with nothing written or greenlit, but HBO Max is said to be high on it based on Gunn's enthusiasm for the idea.
Well, they're high on it, all right.
Oh, I bet.
We can confirm that the character is cocaine based. It's probably Snowflame.
That'd be amazing. I'd love a Snowflame.
I'm assuming it's one of the characters from the movie, but go on.
It's got to be King Shark.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That'd
Most
be fucking
likely,
awesome. That would be awesome.
Well, while Gunn did not decisively confirm either Idris Elba's Bloodsport or Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn
They're
characters,
too busy right now.
the one,
Yeah, no
the
way
one-
they're doing a show.
Yeah, as the ones he's considering, it seems the two-star schedules are too jam-packed to fit in a TV series right now. However, as we all know, that can change. When prodded as to whether the next Suicide Squad series on HBO Max would involve Doctor Who alum and Suicide Squad star Peter Capaldi, who played Thinker in the recent movie, Gunn laughed, saying, "I can't say anything. It is connected to this universe, and I don't think it will be the same genre as Peacemaker. It won't be as much a comedy as Peacemaker, but it will be in the same universe."
Then it
And
probably
Thinker
isn't King
died,
Shark.
so you can't really bring him back.
Yeah.
Who did?
Thinker. Peter Capaldi's Thinker died in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I'm curious who else it could be then. I'm not so sure it'd be King Shark if it's not a comedy.
Ratcatcher would be the most dramatic one.
That's what I was thinking.
It's gonna be Polka Dot Man. It's gonna be how he became
He's dead.
Polka Dot Man.
No, if the characters died in the movie, they're not having a spin-off series.
They can't have a prequel.
James Gunn doesn't do prequels.
we could just watch his teenage years with his mother.
I don't think anybody wants to see that.
Nah, I know.
No,
It was
if I had to
little.
guess, I would think it'd be Ratcatcher. Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes sense, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but I mean, does anybody really want to watch Willard for a whole series?
I don't know. I like Willard.
It was a good movie.
I will
but
say
it's
this, though. I
short.
do know it's not going to be Idris for more than one reason.
He's expensive.
I'm hearing those wacky fucking rumors again. I don't think it's a definite thing or going to happen, but I guess they're actually considering Idris Elba for the next Bond. I heard this from like 2 sources now.
He's way too old.
I know.
He
I
doesn't
don't
wanna
think
do
it'll
it.
happen.
Problem with his age.
I don't think he'll do it. I just can't believe they'd actually consider it.
It's just weird because it would be a restart because kind of all the James Bonds are kind of supposed to be the same guy.
Not anymore. He's dead.
Kind of. Look, that modern crap doesn't fucking count. We all know this. But they're all supposed to be the same guy. 007 is his title. James Bond is his name. So now he's going to start with a brand new black James Bond. So he's got to start off the whole entire shebang all over again. What's he going to start? Dr. Yes? Dr. Maybe? Dr. No means no?
Doctor, it's true. It's
Yeah.
true.
We'll circle back to it.
Oh, thank you, Psaki. All right, here we go. In regards to season 2 of the Cena HBO Max series, Gunn said, "The show is doing extraordinarily well, and we're excited. We're all doing it. We all like doing it. We just need to cross some T's and dot some I's, which is basically me." Does Gunn have any regrets, like Patty Jenkins did with Wonder Woman in 1984, about Suicide Squad going day and date in theaters and on HBO Max last summer? The critically acclaimed and audience favorite movie wound up making $55.8 million domestic and $167.4 million worldwide at the box office, versus the pre-pandemic haul of the 2016 installment, which did $325.1 million stateside and $746.8 million worldwide. It's been born out of that things didn't work for the best, but I have to say that the process is working out incredibly well for me because of Peacemaker. Gunn answers, "I wasn't happy about Suicide Squad going to TV day and date. We also happened to come out at the absolute peak of Delta, so it was a difficult decision, he added. For the sake of Peacemaker, I'm really glad. It got more subscribers for HBO. Billions of people saw it on HBO. For Peacemaker, it worked out really well, said Gunn. Gunn was convinced, or excuse me, Peacemaker, blah, 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 blah. Peacemaker was conceived, I cannot read, by Gunn during the pandemic lockdown of 2020 as he was finishing the edit of Suicide Squad. It was starting, I cannot read. I was starting to get bored because I was in lockdown. I was depressed. I was having heavy anxiety like a lot of us were at that time and still today. And I needed something to take care of myself, he told us. That's where the show comes from, Gunn said. I needed something to soothe myself. There you go.
I wish I had millions of dollars to soothe myself.
I was just thinking that a gun could really soothe itself.
Ooh. Edgy
Hey,
number 1 says with 2 pounds. Now we need a Henry Cavill Mad Men era Bond. I agree with you. I'm just telling you all what I heard. And I don't really necessarily believe it or believe it will happen, but that's just what I was told.
To quote myself, that's extra dumb with cheese.
Yeah. So is there any more left of this?
No,
I love Bond, right? And it would be nice if they stuck Idris Elba in there as one of your great Bond villains.
He'd make a good M or something like
Make
that.
him 003.
Yeah, I mean,
The agent
look
that
at
has to go to like
Trevelyan.
Africa and South America and Jamaica and the places where he could blend in.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having other 00 agents. I mean, GoldenEye proved that.
He could be 008. We've never met 008 in the movies.
Yeah, for real.
And Bond regards 008 as a better agent than him.
Rico Zorro says, what about a show centered around Amanda Waller? What do you guys think of that? And that's not a bad idea.
I don't.
Amanda Waller is like the greatest supervillain in DC Comics.
Well, not just that, she has so many connections to other characters. That's the beauty of it, is you can
connections to tons of villain. I mean, she drug herself up from the street, became a politician, weaseled her way into deep state of the government, restarted the Suicide Squad program, Task Force X. Yeah, no, she's a very interesting and evil woman.
I don't see nothing wrong with that. Edgy number 1 says, so Heather Caden left, new VP of franchise management needed, and now Kurtzman's secret hideout bio deleted reference to Star Trek. Interesting. And
I still got the banner of all the Star Trek stuff on it.
I didn't see that, but yeah, okay. I knew Heather Caden was leaving. And I also knew I think what's his face? Van Sitters moved somewhere else. Wasn't Caden the one that was offered some other deal within CBS and she turned it down?
I think so. I think that's the one.
I think that's the one. Yeah. And then Spider Unlimited says, I prefer Rocky Raccoon instead of Rocket Raccoon.
What about Rocky the Squirrel?
Hey, Rocky.
Nothing up my sleeve and presto. Yeah. Thank you for that, kids.
You do Rocky better than me. Or Bullwinkle better than me. I forgot.
Bullwinkle J. Moose. DCB Titan says, if ever there was a franchise that could become a cinematic universe, it's Bond. Make some other agents to fill in the 00, just like the script was just saying. 00 roster, then make the event movie Her Majesty's Secret Service.
See, that would be badass.
I don't disagree
with that.
Well, I said yesterday on the morning show, I'm like, why don't they just do like a No Way Home for Bond? Just get all the living Bonds back together.
Oh, I got like George Lazenby and Dalton and
Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce
Brosnan.
Zombie Cover.
Not a lot of live ones left.
Craig. Fuck it if he's dead. Who cares? It's just fun.
I'm good with them never having him back ever
I don't
again.
disagree with you. I don't give a shit. So
he had so much potential after Casino Royale, and then they decided, no, we're not going to have fun with the character anymore.
He seems more like he'd be playing like German Bodyguard number 3.
I was the first.
He was a sidekick lackey to a villain in the Family Channel Zorro series, Daniel Craig, when he started out. He gets shot.
Isn't he a little pussy anyway?
Whenever he needs somebody to dress up like a SS officer or something, he could do that.
Yeah, he looks like. Never mind.
Anyway. Careful.
Well, they have them in movies. Indiana Jones was a thing. Sorry, woke people.
Well, Hellboy 3 is not necessarily happening that I know of, but Ron Perlman says even though he's old as shit, He still feels like the fans deserve the final film. So let's see what they have to say here. You want to read this one too, Culture?
Sure, I can if you want.
read out. You read out all over the place. You were stumbling over yourself like Porky the Pig there.
All right, let's see what we can do. Hellboy 3. Ron Perlman feels the fans deserve the final Guillermo del Toro Hellboy movie. Published 9 hours ago. Excellent. It's not looking all that likely at this point that we'll ever be seeing Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy 3, the final installment in the once planned trilogy starring Ron Perlman as Big Red. Then again, sequels to previous iterations of a property coming along after a reboot has been released aren't entirely uncommon, as Ash came back in Ash vs. Evil Dead. In the wake of I don't even know how to say this name. Fede Alvarez remake of the Chainsaw Massacre. Halloween franchises went back to the original continuities after their own remakes seemed to move us away from the past. So we could someday see Perlman return as Hellboy 3. In his most recent comments on the matter, Perlman explains that the fans deserve it, even if he's not exactly eager to do it. Perlman tells The Independent, "Am I eager to do Hellboy 3? No, I'm 71 fucking years old. We owe this to the fans, and we should give it to them because it would be an epic conclusion." So, Guillermo, if you're reading, I'm not done pounding you to get this fucking thing done, Perlman adds, making a plea to Guillermo del Toro in an effort to make it happen. The Hellboy franchise returned to theaters back in 2019 with a reboot starring David Harbour, Stranger Things, as the title character. But that film failed to light up the box office. It pulled in just $55 million worldwide on a $50 million production budget, ensuring that Harbour's portrayal of Hellboy would be a one-and-done experience. But that doesn't mean we'll never see a return of Guillermo del Toro's vision of Hellboy, which fared much better at the box office, even if 2008's Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, wasn't big enough to justify another sequel. In the wake of 2019's Hellboy, it would seem that fan interest in Guillermo del Toro-directed Hellboy 3 is at an all-time high. So never say never. Anything is possible in the world of Hollywood.
You know, I gotta spit it out and go on record here. Yeah, I love the Ron Perlman Hellboy movies, but I honestly, as its own movie, I like the reboot better.
I didn't see it yet.
It wasn't as silly.
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't comment. I just know it did not do well.
Plus, it had an actual depiction of Baba Yaga.
I have to watch.
Oh, like the female version of her.
Yeah, it even had like the chicken leg cabin and the cauldron. Yeah.
Oh, you mean that mortar and pestle? Yeah.
Yeah, they really went for it. Like the whole eating kids thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Way darker than the original, but the original had the Clockwork guy who was cool as shit. I don't even know his name, but I remember that character forever. What do you guys feel? You think that's wrong? I know everybody shits on the reboot, but I
don't know. I mean, I haven't
seen the reboot yet.
Yeah, that's the problem. I've heard nothing but bad things, so I haven't like rushed to watch it, even though I have it.
Well, it's like in the reboot, he's sort of compelled by events as opposed to being compelled by charisma in the first one. He's less animated and like over the top, I'd say.
Yeah. Paulie sent me a member chat.
But like Ron Perlman's like, "Oh, I'm here to drink some beer and kick some ass." You know what I mean? The other guy's more just going through the actual scenario, more like it was actually.
I don't know. I think that's part of the charm of the character, I guess. I don't know. That's just me though, but I have to see the new one. Then Paulie sent me a member chat and he says, "Tom, read this. Mando can do stuff now." Well, if his name is Boba Fett, I guess it's the same thing.
Oh my! I don't even want to get into that. That was terribly disappointing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Speaking of Machete, though, I think they need to add his ass to Elder
Machete.
Scrolls. They should make him the leader of like the Blades or the Fighters Guild or something. That'd be kick-ass.
You mean Skyrim?
Well, Skyrim is a province of Tamriel.
No, I feel you, but you're right. I think that'd be awesome for him to be like the leader of the Blades or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, because they've had Patrick Stewart before. They had who was the guy who played Doc Ock?
Alfred
remember his
Molina?
name.
Molina?
Yeah, Alfred Molina. Yeah, they get good actors. It's not beyond the pale of them to step outside of just video game voiceover actors and get like Hollywood actors. So I think they should make that happen.
According to
Yeah.
Duck Nation, Ian McShane plays Ian McShane in the Hellboy reboot. So
He also plays Ian McShane in the Death Race reboot.
that's pretty true. And thank you, Jeff C. I saw that you got that package out. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. That's awesome, man. But yeah, I mean, I don't think this is ever going to happen because Guillermo del Toro has pretty much moved on. But I know
Yeah, he seems like one of those guys that's always busy. So
well, it's not just that. He also like announces 12 things he's going to do and he never gets any of them done.
It's hard for him to get them done.
Well, there's that.
He wants to do big stuff, man.
That's the other problem is, yeah, he wants to do shit that nobody else wants to let him do. But I don't know. You never know. We'll see. But I know we got a couple of Stephen King fans here, right?
I like some of his older books.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Who
of
asked
old
you?
ones.
I pretty much grew up reading Stephen King books, and then I stopped reading Stephen King books after,
Well, of course, after the success of it, tons and tons of Stephen King stories went into production. And we got a list of the 10 that are coming besides Salem's Lot. James Wan is producing a new big screen version of that. So that'll be coming, it looks like, in September, beginning of September. So there you go. Then you got Firestarter coming from Blumhouse.
I'm a fire starter, twisted fire starter.
We got Later. This is actually a new one because I don't think they've adapted this one before. It's a limited series. It'll star Lucy Liu. Then we also have this one I remember hearing about, Children of the Corn. This was made in the early days of the pandemic, and it still hasn't come out.
Wow.
It looked
Yeah,
like it was
I love
extremely
horror
low
movies.
budget.
And I never liked Children of the Corn.
I don't think they're the greatest or best, but I don't hate them. I mean, they're basically like Stephen King's version of like Village of the Damned or whatever.
It's a good idea for a half hour.
Which is funny because it was a short story and a short film to begin with.
There you go.
So, I mean, yeah, outside the first one, they're pretty lame. And I mean, even the first one's not that great.
Duck Nation's honest as hell. Children of the Corn was trash.
Then we got Mr. Harrigan's Phone. Another new one from It Bleeds collection.
If it bleeds.
If It Bleeds, sorry.
Right.
It's currently in works at Netflix. Blumhouse looks to be involved as well in that one. Looks like Donald Sutherland's going to be in it. Wow, he's still working, huh?
He's still alive.
No, he's not going anywhere.
And then speaking of the man,
God,
himself-
Stephen King looks like hell.
Yeah, he does.
Stephen King looks like the monsters he writes about.
Pretty
He
much.
looks like a skeleton with dried skin on it.
The Boogeyman is coming after making a name for itself in the horror world with 2020 Shudder movie. Host Rob Savage recently set up his project, and this time around he's tackling Stephen King. Savage will be adapting this short story, Boogeyman. So there you go. First published in 1973 in Night Shift.
You know what's creepy? Him drinking with a straw out of that tiny cup.
He
Another
doesn't
big
want
one.
to chip one of his frail teeth on the
Right.
tin can.
And here's another bigger one that I remember Robert Meyer Burnett was talking to Brian Fuller about, and that is Christine.
Yep.
Which of course is the John Carpenter classic. So that one I'm a little, I don't know.
Which you don't need to touch because John Carpenter.
I was
did
gonna
well.
say,
See,
I
that's
think it
just
was
the
pretty much
thing.
done pretty well the first time.
See, I of all the Stephen King books I've read, I had never read Christine.
The movie's not
So I
that
don't know
different.
how far off it is.
Not too much. I mean, there's a few things, but
I couldn't
my
tell you what the difference is
recollection,
between the
I
Barbie
read it
movie
in
and
high school,
so
and I
long.
seen the movie afterwards, and that from my recollection, I mean, it's
Is
pretty.
it the same car in both?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Plymouth Fury. Yeah,
It's a lot of car.
I don't know. There is a lot of difference between the film and the.
I don't think there is too many. I mean, there's little bits and pieces, of course,
So what's the point?
but I mean, yeah, exactly. Well, that's what culture or script doctor and I were just saying is like it was done well enough the first time.
Do you think it's crazy to have the idea of them just like remastering old movies and re-releasing them in theaters and then putting out DVDs of them again?
I think we're on the
It's a
cusp
little
of that.
expensive, and there's a lot of legal
Blu-rays.
issues. But I mean, it'd be interesting.
But yeah,
I mean-
but with all that said, is that more than the price of making a new movie that you don't know is going to be anything?
Be way cheaper.
It would be cheaper in one regard, but at the same time, it's.
Well, we've already
I
kinda
can-
seen
I
a
can see a
lot of
lot of people dipping their fingers in it to make it more expensive than it actually is.
Well, we've seen a lot of that over the pandemic, a lot of re-releases, and we're
Yeah.
still seeing them. The Fathom events and all that
But
stuff.
those are just like the original reels, because there's so many reels that are just in storage, and
Well, most of the time when
they'd
Fathom
rather
does them,
like
they're
a
just,
remaster and a re-release.
I say they're
That's-
just
that takes a lot of
digital.
money.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, even when Fathom does them, 9 times out of 10, they just get the 4K master. It's not a reel. There's not very many theaters left in the U.S. that actually do film reels.
They don't have projectors anymore. Yeah.
I remember back in the day when the Star Wars prequels came out. I went to see them each with my brother, and each time something happened. And like once there was a fire, we went to the one at the mall. There was a fire in the food court. They evacuate the building. The next one we go, and something else happened. But then when we saw the third one, the film broke. And I was like, really? And we both started laughing.
I'm surprised they were still on film by the third one at that point.
Yeah.
Lucas had pretty much
Yeah,
got everybody
'cause-
switched over to digital.
Well, you know what's funny, Tom, is that it was at that little fucking place up in Watertown that's not even there anymore. Now it's like a stage theater. Like it was a tiny little place, and I'm sure their equipment was just not the greatest.
No, a lot of these re-releases, all they are is the 4K masters getting put out there, and that's why 9 times out of 10, I pretty much know what's coming out 4K Blu-rays from those. But I guess we're getting another sequel to Pet Sematary, a sequel to the remake anyway.
Now, let me ask you a question. If the projectors are more digital now, how come the picture isn't any better when you're actually at the theater?
Oh, because they don't turn up the light enough. If you actually go see one that has the lens or the bulb turned up high enough, it don't look that bad. Digital is not horrible projection. It's just that most of the time the theaters don't know how to do it, or they crank down the lens or the I keep saying lens.
They're
The
trying to
bulb.
extend the bulb life. Yeah.
Yeah, to between that and just saving on a little bit of stupid electricity, which is ridiculous.
No, electricity's expensive. Not enough nuclear power plants out there.
I agree with
Need
that
more.
statement.
So yeah,
no
we're getting
nuclear power plants, no Frogtown.
there's no word yet on the details, but I highly doubt they'll follow the sequel from the original, which had what's his face from Terminator 2 in it, and Clancy Brown was in it too. Then we got The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon coming. I think that's another one that's never been done before.
Damn, they're really hitting up all the Stephen King, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, I said a lot of these started along with the because it was such a huge hit. This is what I remember
Oh,
hearing about a
We're
while
doing
ago.
The Running Man, eh?
The Running Man's getting another adaptation. It looks
Now,
like.
if no one's ever read a Stephen King book before, reading The Running Man is rather enjoyable.
Yeah.
As far as I know, the
Leave
book.
the
is
Running
nothing.
Man alone. It's good as it is. It's
Well,
great as it is actually.
The
I
movie
love
is
the
not.
opera guy.
The movie's nothing like the short story, really. Outside of the
Oh no,
really
it's not. That's the great thing.
That's why it's so fun.
Yeah, it's like they took the story and they're like, let's do this with cocaine and wackiness.
That's
Here's
right.
opera guy covered in glitter.
It was even better. Yeah, it was even better with back when cocaine was, involved. It was way better.
It was like, this is Running Man if it didn't happen in a dystopian future, but more like in Futurama. Yeah. It's as close as I could get.
And then we have Elevation, which looks like the last one. And then
I don't even
that's
know that story. When is that from?
That one's from 2018. It looks like a newer one.
Oh, that's why.
No, I've never read
It's
it.
about
Yeah. I just closed it. Shit.
you remember they did make movies of these, but there was the Regulators, and then there was
Castle Rock, Maine. Scott Carey faces a mysterious illness which causes bizarre effects on his body, makes him rapidly lose weight, even if he appears healthy on the outside. while battling the disease. Like, so it's basically just like the one where the guy turns old,
Thinner.
thinner.
Yeah, I was thinking of Thinner.
Or thinner all over again. Yeah. The fuck.
But Stephen
That's
King
the
did
Gypsy
two
Curse.
different books where he had
He
a
also
cast of
tries
characters.
fixing a dire situation involving a lesbian couple trying to open a restaurant surrounded by public disapproval. What the fuck, Stephen King? Are you living in 1988 still?
Yeah, what year is this set?
Dude. Well, I don't know. He wrote it in 2018. I don't know. That's true. I don't know when it's
He
set.
actually probably wrote it in the 80s and then found it and then released it.
Lord. So there you go, kids. So Culture, what else did you have for news stuff? Anything
Oh
good?
my gosh, nothing fantastic. Look, it was a slow day after this morning. It
Yeah.
really was.
No, the only additional news is that Gunn confirmed that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is going to be the last of that team.
I'm
in
not
the MCU.
surprised. Because I mean, I
That's
kind
it.
of think he hinted that he's kind of walking away from the MCU after that anyway.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
it
gonna
looks
set
like he's
this up,
going
and I
on
didn't
Warner
know where I
Brothers
was
side.
going with it.
Yeah,
I
looks like
mean,
he's
you
going over to
know,
Warner Brothers and doing that thing over there, and who knows what'll happen after the changeover? If he'll still be there, or if they'll boot him out.
Could
Apple
always bring back Trauma.
beat all their numbers. I mean, I don't know if that's a story anybody cares about, but their revenue, profit, iPhone sales, services, they all beat their forecast in the most recent quarter. So
Did they release yet another phone?
I don't know, but I do know this, that they are a $3 trillion market cap.
I'm waiting for the
Jesus
day that
Christ.
people wait in line for the new phone and then a new line starts after that line for the phone after that.
Yeah, I got the iPhone 12 Pro Labs,
I have none of them.
and it's the one I've liked the best so far was the iPhone 7. But that broke all the time. This one
Well, I
hasn't
mean,
broken yet. But
with the whole,
screen
like-
isn't that like when you touch it, it doesn't always like feel my fingers or something. It makes me feel like I'm dead.
With the whole thing with Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm not surprised. We're getting to the end of the road, I think, with a lot of these characters. That's why I was saying yesterday morning, like, I won't be surprised. Like, that's kind of why I'm surprised about the Spider-Man deal to a point, but not really at the same time. But, like, I feel like a lot of these classic characters we're probably just going to have to learn to say goodbye to because they're, A, going to be too expensive to keep around, and B, I mean, how much further can some of them be taken? And we get to the point with the Avenger movies and stuff like that where they're so bloated. And we're getting the report for Doctor Strange that it's supposed to have more cameos than any other Avenger movie ever has before.
Yep.
Yep. That's what people want. They want cameos, not closure.
Which I'm not all for that. And I'll be honest with y'all, like our report earlier, I only believe half of those cameos that we said. So
I can believe one of them just because that actor needs money.
I can tell you right now, I don't think they could get Wesley Snipes. He was pissed.
Oh,
Like,
no, I don't think they'd get him.
Because I know somebody who was going to be on his writing team if he'd have got to do Blade. And the way that whole thing went down, I don't think that they got him in any way, shape, or form. Because he was basically like, fuck you, and walked away. And that was it. And that next day or two after that, then Mahershala Ali was announced as Blade.
Yeah, that's weird because they went with an older actor.
That is odd.
Yeah.
I would think for how like Blade is supposed to be stiff, you know, he's supposed to be Wesley Snipes' Blade. Let's face it.
I think the whole thing was just to say fuck you to him, but
I mean, you would think they'd at least, you know, comb a bunch of martial arts tournaments or something and find somebody who could actually, you know, just kick ass and be like, basically go find Wesley Snipes.
well, I'll tell you what he
You
wanted
put
to
it
do.
like that.
What he wanted to do was he wanted to do the daughter of Blade, and he would be just Blade in that. And they said no. They wanted somebody else to play Blade, but they offered him the Whistler role. And he told them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, and it's not even like, you know, I hate when they recast actors that they don't need to, like Robert Englund. Thank you, Culture. Like, guy wears latex, doesn't matter. Blade. Does Wesley Snipes look like he can't pull off Blade? That dude's in better shape than any of us. I don't care if he's older. Dye his hair. It's called hair dye.
Wesley don't look that much older than he did back then.
He doesn't
No.
look that much older. Yeah.
Hey, and it's dark, and he's wearing shades, and a trench coat.
And he's got several stunt doubles still that he works closely with. So.
Not only that,
like
he's
10, 15
the
years younger
living
than him.
vampire, so there's no, and he basically aged as it is, so there's nothing to say that he won't age. So whatever.
Yeah, he can still get older.
Yeah, and they could even just be like, have him say, well, being a daywalker is an all perks. There, the end.
Well, and it's not like he looks that much older. You could still even say that he's aging slower if you wanted to, because he still looks.
Well, I mean, there's
Yeah,
nothing
exactly.
saying that he's just a daywalker. He's not necessarily immortal, as far as I
That's
can
the
tell.
thing. Yeah, he's the daywalker and shit. Yeah. Well, I mean, he grew up from being a baby.
Yeah.
For real, right? He wasn't no vampire baby.
But yeah. And then we saw the Batman toys. Those things look atrocious.
Oh, did you? What did it look like?
God, yeah.
Let me see if I can find a picture here. Somebody sent me a
There's
bunch
the
of pictures
toys.
of
There's the
it.
popcorn
If there-
covers.
If there
I
was
didn't see
ever
that,
an easy ass job out there, it's making Batman toys look cool.
Well, I
Oh,
mean,
they
the
fucked
costume
us
doesn't
up.
work to make him look cool because it's a terrible costume.
Plus, they have that whole thing like when Flintstone's vitamins tried to make Betty, and the waist kept breaking because it was too thin.
Hey, Juan. There you go. That's actually a better view than the other one there was.
Wow, that looks so bland.
There you go.
It just looks bland. Hi, we're the
The
great
bike
guys.
looks more cooler than the rest of them.
Pretty much.
Who's the guy in the back?
That's just him without the helmet.
Oh,
Which is stupid because you could have just made a figure that had a removable helmet.
Good luck selling that shit.
Wow.
Have they seen what toys look like these days?
No.
Apparently not.
Oh,
Those
here's
ones
the
from
other goofy
Ghostbusters
ass
look
looking
like the
one.
Ghostbusters.
Here's the one that I love. This is a good one. Bug-eyed version here.
the fuck.
It jumped. It only let me make it so big. Look at it. He's got the
She's
bug
out.
eyes.
Not for nothing, too. Like that Superman on the left of him. Nobody wants that. You know why? The arms just go like up and down, and the legs go up and down. Those toys are stupid.
And he's wearing a
Waste
onesie. I mean, that's not heroic. That's childish.
It is. I agree.
Disappointing.
Disappointing.
Yeah.
It's all good. The next one's got to be better, right?
Says who?
When your movie hasn't come out yet and people are already talking about rebooting it.
Oh, these were the better ones yet. Okay. Here's the one script had. Yeah. I didn't realize you were the one that actually shared them, but yeah. Them look bad. See, those look like they're probably like Hallmark.
Why is
No,
it
those
shaped
are
like somebody's
promotions that
grandma?
you get out the movie theater.
Oh God, they still look horrible.
Those are like covers for your popcorn or your pop or something like that.
Why does Catwoman have the menopause hips?
Well, she's supposed to be pregnant, right?
I don't fucking know.
That is, she does have a very like, yeah, that's a weird figure. And then
Well, she's as tall as Batman, which is funny.
and he looks like he's cold.
He's shrugging there. Or slouching. Like it's not a very, confident pose.
This is why God gave us Adam West.
Yeah.
Well, 3 glorious seasons. You can rewatch them for free.
Yeah,
now.
he started playing Batman like at the age of 38.
Yeah, for real. They'd be like, hey, Jesse, you're going to be Batman. I'd be like, how many months do I have to work out? Fuck my life. Yeah, who approved that mask? It's not even a mask, dude. It's like, it's just a line under her nose. That's fucking stupid. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, this is terrible. Whatever, I ain't got to watch it.
wearing a cheap ski mask. What the fuck? Multi-million-dollar movie, and they can't even make her a decent mask. And what the fuck up is with shrugging Schroeder here?
Because he's
I
really
don't
little,
know
so
if
he
I
has
want
to
to
push his
work out to
shoulders
be
up.
Batman.
He's
Why
a
does his
little fella.
cape look like a dumbass? That's not how Batman's cape looks. It's like he got Superman's cape and dyed it black.
Yeah, and look how
It does
long
look like
Catwoman's
that,
whip
actually.
is. That's like a 3 or 4 meter whip.
Yeah, right.
She's trying to say she's got a bigger dick than him.
The
Probably
whip was
does.
racist. Now it's just a rope. Wait a minute, that's racist.
I give up. Fuck these kids. They don't know anything about fighting crime.
No, they don't.
They just want to sit there and go, oh, poor me, emo, I don't want to work out. Guess what happens if you don't work out and you punch somebody?
You get the shit beaten out of you.
If you don't break your hand doing it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'm sure the soy milk is helping his bones. It's fine.
Fucking A. What the fuck?
Hey,
Fuck
man.
these kids. Jesus
But
Christ.
not only him, but have you seriously seen the Riddler?
Oh, you mean Zodiac Killer?
What the fuck is up with that?
I don't know.
Let me look that up.
He looks more like Scarecrow.
Well, more he looks like he's wearing garbage, like clothes made out of garbage bags.
Seriously, this is just terrible.
You got more important shit to do than talk about his stupid ass. Bye.
Big enough.
You know what I found out? According to George Molo, he has never heard me do my Marlon Brando impression.
Really?
I don't know
Seriously,
how he has
you
it.
did it just the other day.
I was gonna say, I'm like, you never heard me do it? It's like, no. I'm like, are you serious? Then I was on the spot, so I couldn't do it.
So many buttons.
Well, yeah. There's Richard Kind.
I mean, is this the Riddler or is he the Gimp from Falling Down?
They're trying to make him look like Richard Nixon or something.
Or not Falling Down. The Falling Down guy was the shop owner. What was the other one? Pulp Fiction. Fuck up my own joke.
Are you talking
Well,
about
again?
No, the one that was going after Ving Rhames, right?
Yep.
Z is that Z's guy
Zed.
that was in the change? Zed's guy in the change, yeah.
And you're totally right about the Zodiac Killer thing. What's up with that?
It's unimaginative.
It looks like they just
Okay.
composited like the BTK killer and like Zodiac symbology and just glued it all together with an overcoat.
Yeah, that's the Riddler Bronze Age Marvel.
How's anybody supposed to hear his riddles with that fuck? He doesn't have a mouth on that mask.
It's all muffled, yeah.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Can you repeat yourself?
Mm-mm.
Can you write it
What?
down?
Can you take off the mask? No.
Mm-mm. Look, I already put up with this shit from Bane. I'm out.
I know Batman doesn't use guns, but I'm about to make an exception. You know, I do like the Penguin's chair, though.
Yeah,
I like
but
his
why-
jacket.
That I could say.
I don't know.
I keep telling you, every new Batman iteration just makes the Adam West show look that much better.
I know, dude. All the villains look tight.
Yeah.
I give up on
I mean,
this.
Frank's Riddler, especially in the first episode where he's walking through the sewers and he like fixes his bowler cap. I was like, yeah, this guy's insane.
Frank Gorshin invented that costume. It didn't exist till he wore it in the comics. It was always the spandex with the purple mask, and Frank was like, "Can I have something a little more formal?" And I'm like, "Okay, what do you want?" He's like, "Give me a suit and a bowler
Yeah,
hat."
how about his suit?
Is
And-
the
Bowler
suit
hats are
too
always
much?
awesome.
And then
keeps
it
me safe
caught
while
on
I'm
and it got right in the
jogging at
comments.
night.
Oh shit! When did the Riddler join Slipknot? You're right.
Well, if Batman's supposed to be Kurt Cobain, I guess.
Well, we all know. Oh my god! I can't.
It's
believe
Slipknot
this.
versus Kurt Cobain.
We all know how
Slipknot
that
versus
ended.
Nirvana.
So
That's
can we
the
just get
theme
on
of the
with it?
movie's gonna be.
I don't know what to tell anybody about this. This is the state of modern culture. Yeah.
By the way, thank you, Andrew Eastman, for that. Oh Lord. Well, that's your Riddler.
You know, it took him 4 hours to get into that makeup, right?
All they had to do was hire Richard Kind. Seriously.
Yeah,
Hmm.
he's still doing voices over on American Dad. Just grab him and throw him in a suit and give him a long nose.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that's a pretty that shows his commitment to the character, right? So I don't know. I really want this to be good. Do you guys hear that? And every day something happens to make me think this is not going to be good.
Ironcaster says the answer to Gimp Suit Riddler's riddles is his safe word.
And that's what gets him to stop. It makes so much sense.
And nobody knows what it is.
I thought it'd be Porcupine.
I don't know. I don't even know what to do with this. Like, people are going to watch this movie and think it's good. And I'm like, you just think everything is good.
Oh Lord.
Well, and you know what the answer to the riddle is?
These nuts.
No.
You can wear them
Justice.
on your chin. These nuts.
Although this time it might be either social justice or
I think it's Martha.
climate justice. Martha.
I'm going with Martha. Martha's the right answer.
In this version, his parents never died. And he just lives in the basement.
Harvey
He calls it Bat
agrees.
Cave. And it's not really a cave. And he borrows his dad's car and he painted it black, and now his dad's pissed.
So did you see they gave Mickey or Minnie Mouse a nice little pantsuit?
What? So they could Hillary up a bit?
Pretty much.
Everybody loves that.
Yeah,
Oh wait, Minnie's had tons of different outfits. What's going on?
true. I don't know. Disney's got a Disney.
Yeah, but is there no more polka dot dress? Is what you're getting at? She's not just like in a gardener outfit.
Minnie ditches her signature polka dot dress for a Stella McCartney pantsuit. This new take on her signature polka dots makes new Minnie Mouse a symbol of progress for a new generation.
Why is
Stella
it black
McCartney-
and blue? Is she being abused?
I don't fucking know. She looks stupid.
Red
Stella
and white works
McCartney.
way better on her.
Why didn't they at least make it red?
Yeah.
There you go, kids. Stella McCartney has designed Minnie Mouse's very first pantsuit. It's gorgeous. It's
By the way,
gorgeous.
it isn't the first pantsuit. Minnie Mouse has had pantsuits on the cruise line. She had
Yep.
pantsuit
You would
multiple
know.
times. Yeah, I'm just saying. That's why.
Now,
that
can you
is
pull up any still
ridiculous.
images of those so we can
The-
compare these pantsuits? Because this just looks like the most
Well,
bland, drab.
But it's bigger than that, dude. It's the marketing behind this is the deal, right? It's not necessarily that she's rocking the pantsuit. It's that the marketing behind it is to challenge gender norms and shit like that. I'm not kidding.
I get that, but here's my other thing: is why is it such a big deal that it was designed by Stella McCartney? It's nothing
I
that
don't know who that
stupendous.
is.
I don't give a
It's-
shit
it's
either.
Ugly as
It's
sin,
her
dude.
fucking typical outfit design, just blue now, but in a pantsuit. Woo!
Yeah, but it's just to say that the only difference between boys and girls is putting a bow on your head.
You know what else though? This reminds me of when they do those variant colored characters. It's like, why do I need a blue fucking alien? Like, no, I'm fine with the regular color. That's what it reminds me. It's just stupidity.
So for now on, everybody just call her Mickey and we'll be done with it. They're like, you want change? Well, now there is no Minnie Mouse. The whole point of your character is now gone, so you're no longer a character. That's how that happens. You want $15 an hour to work at McDonald's? Well, now you have a kiosk that replaced you. The same shit, different day. Get a T-shirt.
Lord Almighty, Stella is being the second Yoko. Oh shit!
Anyone can put a stick of 2 walnuts in their pocket. That's right, Pete.
But for some reason, men become women and then they break records. So, go figure, right?
Yeah, well, who would have known that some dude could beat a bunch of chicks at like powerlifting and like fist fighting?
Yeah, but it's 40 weeks, man. I mean, that person was up there for 40 weeks. Not bad.
40 weeks.
Yeah, isn't that right?
Was that the time frame that you have that your transition has to be or something?
No, I'm talking about for Jeopardy.
Oh, yeah.
I lost you.
Who gives a shit? It's another award that a guy took away from a woman trying to act like a woman. You can call me a TERF or whatever fuck you want. I just think it's redonkulous.
I don't know what that means. I'm not shitting you. What's a TERF? I'm sick of remembering all this stupidity.
It's something like trans exclusionary radical feminist, I think.
Okay.
Basically, somebody who believes in classic feminism and thinks
so it's just a specific facet of insanity. And
basically,
crazy
things that
bullshit. Like
basically the idea that you have to acknowledge that science exists, and you can be something else, but it doesn't mean that you can do the same things that a woman can, and vice versa. I guess, like J.K. Rowling.
This reminds me of Mythbusters when they said, I reject your reality and substitute my own. Whee! I'm going to go check dinner. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Turf Wars.
I don't know.
I just don't think it's right for men to come along and take away women's records and
otherwise accomplishments, right?
Other accomplishments, exactly.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, and that's the argument of the parents that they're having their
I think you just accidentally muted
yourself.
I
muted myself. That's the reaction that parents are having when it comes to high school and college sports. They're essentially saying you are eliminating the opportunity to compete by allowing these otherwise, biologically advantaged, let's say, beings to participate in these sports. And you have like lawsuits in place now. I mean, massive, like all kinds everywhere going on here in this country because of this. We're wasting resources on something that comes down to biology, and that's stupid.
I've seen ladybugs.
Me too.
Yep.
I mean,
it proves the point. 30 years before.
And it's not like Ladybugs was original. No. It was just probably the best of the bunch.
Basically you're talking about ringers, right? So
yeah, there's like a million movies where a guy dressed as a chick to do something like that. There's even a couple that are vice versa.
It was great.
There's even some vice versa. But like one of my favorite that kind of challenged this whole thing was just one of the guys from back in the day. And I think that kind of proved the point. Because if I remember correctly from the movie, her whole thing was she turned in a paper for the newspaper, for the school paper, and the editor turned it down. And in her eyes, it was because she was a woman. And then when she went and turned it in as a guy, he just told her it was boring or whatever it was. Then turned around and rewrote them. Finally did get in by rewriting the whole thing about the experience of being a guy from a woman's point of view, of course. But point being, right, it's just, yeah. Anyhow, so Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to be a god, I guess.
Again?
I'm going to play Zeus. Yeah.
So in his youth, he was Hercules, and then
I was Hercules. Now I'm playing the daddy. Who is your daddy, and what does he do?
Who'd have thought the Greek god would have an Austrian accent?
Yeah.
What are you trying to say?
Zeus is an immigrant.
There you go.
Screw your freedom.
Yeah, thanks, bud. What a day.
Is anybody excited about this at all?
I wouldn't. I would actually rather see him play Hercules again at his current
cool.
age.
Or Conan.
Like Hercules returns to New York, and he's like, "It's crazier now than it was when I was here in the '80s."
What's with all the hair? It's all purple and green. Why is that lady naked in the street showing off her vagina?
I don't know if they really. No, they walk naked in the streets of New York, but
No, that lady's
I
protesting.
saw that a couple of times. Just a woman with nothing but like heels in her hands, just strutting down the street and naked, and no one wants to talk to her because she's pissed off for some reason.
Stephen Lanudo says, looks like they thought the Riddler was the Riddler from the animated Batman Hush, which is still not Tommy Elliott.
Oh, the animated Batman Hush was terrible.
I thought
Hush
I heard
itself
her
was
calling
like
my name.
an okay book, but
Hush. Hush. Early in the morning. I like that song. Sci-Fi George says, think about it. Blue equals Democrats. Red equals Republican. I bet that's why the colors are changed for Minnie Mouse. Oh, yeah. Good thinking, Sci-Fi George. That's probably the truth.
Wow.
Wow. We need to get Owen Wilson Turtle has sex. I love that video. Wow. I gotta get that. That's hilarious shit. You guys seen that?
You are no, that sounds pretty twisted.
That is not something that ever pops up on my search.
There's a turtle having sex, and he sounds just like Owen Wilson going, wow.
The only one I've ever heard is the one on Nina Infinity's channel.
Hey,
I think it was on Nina's or something like that. Shit.
Is this before or after Arnold hit all those cars?
Oh, clearly this happened before.
So heroic there. He was wearing Crocs. He was wearing Crocs, for Christ's sake.
And I'm with Nelson Sheretta here. Screw Zeus. I want Conan. King Conan. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, he also, in addition to wearing Crocs, he was not rocking a mask that he was just yelling at everybody about a few days earlier.
Screw you.
I want somebody to start fucking his freedoms and arrest him because he kind of ran over 4 cars and sent a woman to the hospital. But no, that will never happen.
He probably wasn't even driving. Goddess of Whim says
he was driving.
Oh, was he? Okay.
He was the only person in the vehicle. Yes, he was.
No,
driving.
I thought there was other people there too. I thought it was.
No, he fucking dude. He ran over a bunch of cars and he parked on top of one of them. Nothing will happen to him. That type of shit pisses me right off. That's why I can't stand half of these Hollywood assholes.
I thought I'd read he was not alone, but all right. I didn't know. Goddess of Whim says Zeus, the role he was born for, the ultimate womanizer. Yeah, but don't tell him that. Nikki D says Sam Raimi suggested that he wasn't sure if Doctor Strange 2 was finished filming. And is it normal for directors to not know if the film was wrapped?
Until they get picture lock, the film's not finished filming.
Yeah.
And picture lock comes in very much deep inside the edit, so I don't even know if they're done editing yet.
So there you go.
They may have wrapped their reshoots, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're done filming.
Yeah. Mecha J
might
says
need to pick more stuff up. Might need to reshoot something that they reshot. Who knows?
Mecha J says I would have been interested in a Zeus movie had Arnold not told people screw their freedom.
Yeah, everybody's a peon to him, but he wants their money. This guy's a piece of shit. I'm glad he showed his true colors. I'm glad I grew up watching your movies for you to act like it.
Yeah, the whole thing was pretty stupid. So anyway, was there anything else going on? What's this?
No, it's a pretty tame show, I guess, right?
Yeah, there really wasn't much. I mean, it's just one of those days where it's just like everything happened in the morning. Yeah.
I mean, there's the video we got dropping about the KK news, but I'd rather not talk about Star Wars.
Ooh, I have some news too, but I'm not going to talk about it till I flesh it out. But I heard some stuff.
Huh.
Heard some things.
Hmm.
It's interesting things.
Hmm.
I'm sure Script has heard them too.
Maybe.
Y'all suck. And with that, what do you say we wrap this up? I know it's been a short show, but there really isn't much going on. It's kind of slow news day.
Oh, I'm gonna go.
Slow news week, really.
Yeah, that's true. Script. I'm gonna go hug the boss and get ready for comics this show a little bit.
Yeah, it's in like 2 hours.
Yeah, I got some time. I didn't say for
What's
how
he
long.
talking about tonight?
This, little that, some stuff that you don't normally normally get to cover.
That doesn't help me.
Well, things that generally people don't talk about, like of course, a bunch of bounding into comic stuff, like Mr. Dinklage's meltdown.
Oh yeah, by the way, Peter,
yeah, he's another one that I thought was going to be cool. Nope.
The dwarves don't live in a cave. They work in a mine. They live in a house, and they got slave labor from a chick. Get it right.
And Helen Mirren being called a word that doesn't actually exist anywhere.
What's that?
Because she plays the former Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir.
What?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But she got called like a slur, which apparently doesn't exist. So, because she's not Jewish, but she's playing a Jewish person. Very strange.
Okay. Is that like when Obama said all weed up? Just make up shit.
Yeah, of course. And I guarantee you we'll talk about, Frost, deleting everything that could incriminate her.
I saw that. That was hilarious. She cleaned off her entire Twitter. I think that whole thing was fucking planned.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Valiant Renegades here, and I'm going to say this, dude. He's got a link. Yeah, but he just got home. Your raw video, bro. Your raw video is better than my like first cut, almost final cut edit. So you're jerk.
And I accidentally missed this one earlier. I apologize, Trav 101. It says Joe Rogan -1, Neil Young -0. America.
No. Minus. That's a conveyance.
No. Yeah.
I don't know what the hell that means.
I don't know sports.
Well, Neil Young said he wanted off Spotify, and people were like, "Yeah, that's fine."
Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, he was like, "Take Joe Rogan off of Spotify, or you're not having my music."
I think Neil Young kind of had his ass handed to him by Leonard Skinner like fucking 40 years ago.
Oh yeah. And then Spotify.
Neil Diamond's more popular than Neil Young.
Fuck yes, Neil Diamond's a mensch.
He is. He is the man for sure. And here's the weird thing, right? Neil Young doesn't even own his catalog of music. He
owns like a little bit of it, and then
he's not even cool enough to be part of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. He's the last name.
Yeah, apparently, Chef looked it up. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young is the only music of that he's involved in that you can find on there now.
Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're not going anywhere.
We
have a Robert Meyer Burnett in the house.
Hello. Hey. I just randomly saw your link.
How's it going, Robert?
It is.
Taught us.
Oh, it's going well. I didn't mean if you guys are just getting off.
No.
I can come back later.
No. Valiant Renegade actually just sent $10 and says, and I just got home. Yeah, short show. Well, now you can get in here, Valiant. We've got Robert Meyer Burnett.
How are you fine, fellows?
How you been, man? It's been a spell.
Doing okay. I was just doing the new Hollywood podcast with Paul Tazwell, who was the costume designer on West Side Story.
Nice.
Yeah. Really cool guy. So working on that. So that's fun. I love doing those podcasts. We're doing one on this weekend with the cinematographer, the production designer, and costume designer of Nightmare Alley. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, did you see the recent reports that we put out?
The only thing I watched was the Spider-Man video that you did.
Oh yeah, because the other one hasn't dropped yet. That's right. So what do you think of that news?
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, obviously they want to lock this in, and I could see that happening. I mean, it makes sense. And I also think, I don't think Tom Holland's going to say anything about it until after Uncharted gets released, because they don't want any news to overshadow his.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean because that's Uncharted could be a big franchise as well.
Yeah, but do you think that's? I think that one's either going to need a lot of people to go that are normies or something. As I just don't see that one being a hit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Uncharted franchise is beloved, and I remember that was the first video game I ever played that I played from beginning to end in one sitting. I think I played 14 hours because I think that was the first time I was like, wow, video games can be just as compelling as movies.
Yeah,
because I thought the voice acting and the cutscenes were great. I really liked the gameplay, and that's been a pretty strong franchise. Although do
you think that's going to be a thing of like the people who have been fans of that series have already seen all the character development that's going to happen with them, so it's just going to be kind of like attracting your general action movie.
Yeah, I mean, if it has to be, if it's a good movie, I think people will go. My only problem is I think no one saw Tom Holland as young Nathan Drake. I mean, I think that because obviously he was an analogous to Indiana Jones. Because
when they had the trailer, I thought it was just going to be Wahlberg.
Yeah, well, he's Sully, so he's the sidekick,
which is odd.
Yeah, it's gonna. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think the movie looks cool. But it
looks cool, but
it could either be good or if it's good. But I hope it's not. I hope it's not bad. I never want a movie to be bad. Watching Spanish galleons being hoisted aloft and dudes fighting as if they're at sea, I'm like, that's cool. I'll watch that.
See, like that's what I think, because it's like it's going to have to rely on that it is itself standing on its own legs as an action movie, because. Yep. A lot of people aren't in the games like that. And the people who are in the games aren't necessarily going to go see the movie.
Well, I think it's got of any movie coming out, it's got a lot of goodwill coming off of Spider-Man.
Definitely.
The timing is pretty good.
Speaking of Marvel, Mega J sends in $5 and says Evangeline Lilly is getting railed by the media for speaking out against vaccine mandates. I think this will affect her future appearances for the MCU projects.
I hope not.
Too soon to say, but if it was a couple weeks ago, I'd say yeah, but we're getting to the point where a lot of people are kind of speaking out on it, so she might have waited long enough, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Bud Martin bought Massacre at Central High on disc. Dude, wow. Congratulations. Did you watch it yet?
I started watching it.
That's one of my favorite exploitation movies of the 70s. That movie would never get made today. Basically, Massacre at Central High is about a kid who comes and there's this high school and there's all these bullies, these like this group of guys that victimize everybody, and he takes it upon himself to assassinate each one of them by setting up bombs in their lockers and shit. Yeah, I mean,
dude, that sounds awesome.
It's awesome. I mean, as far as exploitation, I mean, look, it's 70s cheese exploitation, but it was a movie that it was very hard to get for the longest time. And that transfers. I mean, it's hard for people to go back and watch lower budget exploitation movies from the 70s.
Oh, I love those, dude.
Oh, you haven't seen Massacre at Central High. I mean, it's got Andrew Stevens in it. It's yeah.
See, that premise reminds me of a screenplay I read years ago called Reunion. And I don't know if you read it, but it's basically like these people go back to their high school, and what they don't realize is that the kid that they bullied in high school has trapped them in there, and it's kind of like a Saw thing situation going on in high school. It's really like disturbing, and it was a really good script, but it never got financed or produced.
I mean, yeah, I love that script, but in this day and age, man, premise, people are they can't. They could
scared of everything.
Apprehensive, yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised the Scream movies are still getting made. The idea that high school kids are murdering other high school kids. You know?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, I guess the last two, Scream 4 and Scream 5, were the ones where high school kids were actually doing it, because in Scream 2 and 3, they were a college and then film producer.
right. And then the first one, it was high school kids.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, the first one was
Fourth one
definitely-
and the new one is too, but
Yeah. Oops. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Wow.
Speaking of
Spoiler
great
alert, just save your
70s,
money.
speaking of great 70s revenge movies, Vinegar Syndrome is going to restore Thriller, a cruel picture, which you might know as they call her One Eye. It was Daryl Hannah's character from Kill Bill was based on this character. And if you haven't seen Thriller, a cruel picture, it's a Swedish movie, and it is basically this girl gets kidnapped. They string her out on heroin and they turn her into a prostitute. And it has the uncut version has hardcore X-rated scenes in it, and then she turns the tables on her tormentors.
you know what that reminds me of what I just finally got in 4K.
What'd you get?
I spit on your grave.
Oh yeah,
Not nearly as bad, because I never seen it before. Not
had you
nearly
seen-
as not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. No,
Oh, it's pretty bad though. The rape.
it's bad, but it's like, I'm like, oh, this is tame compared to some other shit. I don't know how this wound up with such a reputation. Of course, he had to show up.
Yeah. Well, you told me to.
Yeah, you told me to. Totally not here because Robert's here.
You gotta do what you're told.
No, you guys, like, it's
I'm
literally,
picking
I
on
walked, I know. I walked in the house, I opened the laptop, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, turned it on. And then I saw the Twitter. I don't get, for some reason, I'm not getting Twitter notifications on my phone like I'm supposed to for messages. And then you're like, well, we're going to close it out. And that's when I sent the super chat. I was like, oh, well, all right. Have a good, it was a great show for 5 seconds that I saw it. And then you're like, come on, Robert's here. So, all right, well, I guess we're
Hello.
going. So how are you, Robert? How you doing?
I am doing well.
Good.
Doing well.
Dark King says bully justice movies rarely get made in Hollywood because most of the executives were the bullies at high school. That's their crowd.
That's true.
You're not wrong. And then you're not wrong on that.
Even the Toxic Avenger was based on that.
That's, speaking of Peter Dinklage, that's been remade. Where's that at? I thought he finished that already.
The which one?
Peter Dinklage was supposed to be remaking the Toxic Avenger.
Was it all dwarf?
No, it was just him.
As Toxie?
No, he did Cyrano recently.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he must not
I haven't
did it
seen that yet. Was it any good?
The trailer looked great. Haven't checked it out yet.
It looked interesting. I mean, I've always loved the story. I mean, I'm assuming it's the classic Cyrano de Bergerac, right?
Pretty much, except he's Peter Dinklage.
Yeah. Instead of the big nose, it's
I'd say he
you
didn't
know,
do the
short
nose thing. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I still like Roxanne from '86.
It's good.
Oh man, that was Steve Martin, and man, classic.
Speaking
Classic.
of Daryl Hannah as well, yeah.
Yeah.
So how's everybody been? I get here, everybody gets quiet. This sucks.
I don't know. I was just thinking about that scene in Roxanne where he beat the crap out of those guys with the tennis
That
racket.
is amazing.
That was my favorite scene in the movie when I was little. It's like, who is this guy?
That whole movie was good. It was just very well done.
Lindsay, the cynical geek, says, I still need to see Surf Nazis Must Die and Tromeo and Juliet. Early James Gunn with Tromeo
I've got
and Juliet.
Surf Nazis, but I don't know if I've got Tromeo and Juliet yet.
Yeah. Did you
I
say
got that
the-
one that you produced though, or whatever that he worked on. That superhero one.
Oh, the specials.
The
That's
specials,
right.
yeah.
I used to be a producer on it, but then everything went to hell and I'm only an associate producer on it.
Yeah, whatever it says on there,
Yeah. That movie could have been really good. It's all right. But I like
Yeah.
James Gunn in it. I love the Minute Man joke that he kept telling. Everyone was like, "You're Minute Man. I'm Minute Man." I always thought that was a good joke. But he wrote that script. That's where I met James for the first time. Was working on that movie.
Oh, we were just talking about him at the start of the show because he was talking about another spin-off idea he has for the Suicide Squad character, and looks like Peacemaker might be getting season 2. I haven't seen it yet, but have you had a chance to check it out?
Dude, It's
Andre
really good.
loves it.
It's
Um,
really, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today, and he works for heavy metal, and he said, you know, this is like the most heavy metal magazine thing that's going right now. And
Interesting.
he's going like the pendulum is Peacemaker, because I think Peacemaker does representation well, but it's also completely irreverent and punk rock and sort of
Well, hair metal, really, or glam metal.
glam metal. Yeah, yeah. And I'm surprised it even gets on TV. It's great.
Yeah,
So
it does
really-
push a lot of areas.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Speaking
mean,
of heavy metal, though, oh, go ahead, script.
Well, I just wanted to highlight because I think Robert would appreciate this. The opening musical credit scene harkens back to, and I've mentioned this before, harkens back to like the old when you're stuck in high school and you have to see the dance team recital.
Right.
And that is like exactly what I felt like it is. Like that's what they're doing. Like they're either paying an homage to it or they're mocking it because it's just overly choreographed. Everyone's stone faced on purpose, but
Yep.
it's still like entertaining to watch.
I've actually
to a
seen
degree.
the intro thing. Yeah.
Yep.
And then also props to James Gunn for getting Crystal Murdy to do a nude scene because she's gorgeous, and I worked with her when she was starting out, and like, you're really hot. You shouldn't just be a stunt chick. And she was like timid at the time, so I thought that was cool.
Yeah, no, it's
You started the dominoes right there, didn't you?
So yeah, speaking of heavy metal, though, that's coming to 4K, Robert. I saw.
Yes, it is. Yes,
I know it's
it
about
is.
goddamn time too.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies. I
Did you
love the
see,
whole thing with
what
the lock
Arrow-
on.
What
No,
Arrow
what's up,
announced
man?
today?
No.
12 Monkeys.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's good. They're the movie or the movie, right?
I would assume. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, they're starting to pull some of those out the hat. I caught that. I can't remember who posted it. I think it was on somebody's Twitter. Somebody posted it on Twitter. It's one of the 4K disc Twitter sites, but I caught that about an hour.
I think I heard about. I think we rumored that a while ago, but yeah.
Yeah, I just got their Shaw Brothers box set. It's really cool.
Oh, how's that? I know it was a little pricey, so I was kind of like,
it's awesome. It's right here, actually. It's really good.
I'm hoping to wait till it goes on sale, but yeah.
It's got an eclectic bunch of films in it too.
Right.
It's not just like one kind of movie.
No, but I got to do this since you're here, Robert. I love this because I'm actually glad I can say I fucking knew it.
I fucking knew it! Oh!
Congratulations on being on the eligibility list for the Oscars.
Yes.
I told you so, sir. This
Yes.
man he's like, no. He's modest as fuck. No, never. No. Like, dude, this is potential. This has got Greek wedding potential.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, theoretically, any movie that comes out that meets a certain criteria is eligible. For those of you who don't know, this movie I worked on.
So what? It's still on the list, man.
No, it's cool,
Come on.
and it's what's really wild is so for Academy members that you can log on to a website and watch all the movies. So Tango Shalom is on that website. People who hadn't seen the movie. What's really interesting about it, which I thought was pretty fun, is let me see if it's still the same. If it's at the same.
I still have yet to see it, but yeah, I got to check it out soon.
It's somebody told me, I haven't even looked to see if this is true. Yeah, the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is 90%.
Wow.
And I'll take it.
Well,
Yeah.
everybody I know who's seen it said it's great. You said you were going to send me a copy, but that's fine. I'll just
I'll send you a link. I forgot.
No, I'll buy it actually, man, because from everything I've heard.
I got to tell you, it's a movie that your grandmother would love, to be honest.
Oh, I'm sure.
It is, but it's also very
with
much an
you, but-
indie film.
Yes, it's very. I mean, it's as indie as it comes. It doesn't get more indie.
Yeah, it's almost a definitive indie, and
Yeah.
it leans into it with a good charm about being that as a film.
Yeah, and it was it's a little cobbled together.
It reminded me of those feel-good indie hits we used to get back in the day, like that, like Big Fat Greek Wedding and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, when I saw that trailer, I'm like, dude, you've got something here, and you're just like, oh no, it's just this little movie. We just did this, and it barely. It's like, Robert, I told you. Even if you don't even get nominated, it doesn't matter.
Well, it's
just the fact that it's up on the list, and it's like, bravo, man, fucking bravo.
Oh well, thank you. That's very sweet. I appreciate that. It's, you know, my whole career has been working on low budget indie movies. You know, I've never made that. I worked on this. A friend of mine, Mike Hurst, it's a time travel thriller that cost $250,000, and we shot it in 3 rooms and a hallway and a parking lot. But it's pretty cool. You know, like I would be like, okay, there's a podcast, or there used to be one called From the Basement of Netflix. And when the movie was on, it's called Paradox. And when the movie was on Netflix, Pedro Hidalgo, who works for Lucasfilm? Pablo Hidalgo. Pablo, he had, it was his podcast and a couple other guys, and they picked the movie, and they kind of tore a new one, but at the end they're like, this is pretty good. You know, and I'm like, look, man, it was what it was, but for what it was, we tried to make it the best it could be. You know, for a movie that was shot in three rooms in a hallway. You know, it's like, But when they said that, I'm like, yep, because what people don't understand is whether you're working on a movie that costs $200 million or $200,000, you're still putting the same amount of, I mean, there's a lot more people on a $200 million movie, but you're still trying to, when it comes down to it, it's like an editor and a director in a room together in the dark, trying to make the story work as well as it could. You know, there's a number. E. Clay Thomason says there's a couple of Paradox movies. So if you know ours, and literally every visual effect shot costs $27. Literally $27, and it looks.
That's oddly specific number, but okay.
Yeah, it's an oddly specific, but it was very true. And you know, it's funny, like when you're making. So, for instance, in this time travel movie, they didn't know what it looked like to travel through time. Like there was no art designer or no production designer, no art director or anything. So they put up this lighting grid, this circular lighting grid that you would use for, like, you know, if you were at a product expo, they might have this lighting grid up and the product would be in the middle of it and lights would be shining down. It was that kind of a lighting grid. Yeah. That was the time machine. And so when I came on, I said to Mike, I go, so, and somebody would, you know, walk up and stand in the middle of it and go, oh. And I said to Mike, I said, well, what does it look like when he travels through time? Like, how do you foresee it? Because they didn't have any interactive lighting or anything. I go, what? I don't know. Like, how am I supposed to cut this? Like, if somebody walks in the machine, like, what happens when they get in it? And he didn't know. It was like, and we had to, like, kind of figure it out. I'm like, well, what if it did this? Like, what if it kind of expanded out? We're like, how is that going to work? And it's not the way to make a great movie. I mean, it's always helpful if you're making a time machine movie where people travel through time. It's probably a good idea to have a pretty good understanding of how does a time machine look? If energy is being expended, what does that look like?
Yep.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Professor Gray says, off topic, saw the new Dexter season. How do you mess up the ending twice on the same show and in the last 20 minutes?
Oh, I heard that.
I have not seen it. Andre did, but I thought he said he didn't have an issue with it as much. But you know, that's a better question for the morning show when you can ask him. I don't know if anybody else here is a Dexter fan. So
I was a Dexter fan, but I haven't seen the latest season yet.
Right.
I haven't made the time for it.
I've never watched Dexter, but I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah. So yeah, that'd be a better question for Andre in the morning. Sorry about that. Then we got Zontar, who says, Mr. Burnett, have you seen the YouTube channel Isaac Arthur? He's a science futurism channel who gives weekly optimism for the future of technology.
I have not, but that sounds right up my my alley. So
Isaac Arthur, there you go. From Zontar. Thank you for that. So yeah. Trav wants to know when we're doing 4K again, Valiant. I was gonna do it yesterday, but then I asked I was gonna ask a couple people, and then I didn't even get a chance to ask you, sir, because Chris Gore had informed me that he was going to a premiere movie with you. I was like, well, fuck.
Yeah, we went and saw Moonfall yesterday.
So that, like, kind of put a big
damper
on that one.
Is it a Roland Emmerich film or is it, a Roland Emmerich film?
Well, you know what's really funny to me? Like, I am a Roland Emmerich fan. Like,
Yeah.
I liked Stargate. I liked Independence Day. I like Day After Tomorrow.
Me too.
But this, like, 2012, this Independence Day Resurgence, this movie actually has a kernel of a really good idea. And the idea is really interesting. But then it's just gobbledygook. I mean, I have to say, honestly, I had fun watching it. I enjoyed watching it. But I was watching this, I'm like thinking to myself, because look, I'm a kid. I still watch, 50s sci-fi movies and enjoy them because I grew up with them. And this felt like a movie that should have been made in the 50s for like, $750,000. But it's not. It was made for $140,000, $140 million. It was financed mostly with Chinese money, I noticed, but it's just gobbledygook.
Well, that's your first red flag, is that Chinese money.
Well, have you guys seen the huge box office success in China? Have you seen The Wandering Earth?
Mm-mm.
So
I
think it's
heard of it. What is it?
Okay. Okay. There's a very famous Chinese science fiction writer who wrote the trilogy, The Three-Body Problem. That's really, really good. That Weiss and Benioff, our favorite producers from Game of Thrones, are adapting into a series. He also wrote a novel called The Wandering Earth, and I kid you not, the Earth has to be moved.
The Earth already moves.
I mean, but it had to be moved. It has to be moved away from the sun. And there's a Japanese movie that came out in the 60s called Gorath. What
about the other planets, though?
Well, that's
don't you have to move all the planets?
No, it's part of the plot. Jupiter is part of the movie. You got to see it. So, The Wandering Earth has it's this crazy epic science fiction film, and I went and saw it in the theater, and I liked the movie. It's not a good movie because it has a lot of really cool special effects and production design and actors and all that, but the pacing is all off. The tone is off because it was China's bid to make, I think, a movie that would appeal in the West as well. It's a big. If The Wandering Earth could play on a double bill with Moonfall for the rest of time, and I think that would be a good thing. But you can see The Wandering Earth on Netflix. I think it's still on Netflix. But there's a lot of cool stuff in it. I mean, somebody just said it, visually it's a lot of fun. It's just, you watch it, the pacing is all off, and the characters, I mean, it's the translation, it doesn't really work. But it's cool. But,
so
Moonfall.
Sad to hear you can't really recommend Moonfall. Huh?
I mean, look, if you ever wanted to see a movie about the moon hitting the Earth for a pretty wacky reason, that's actually kind of cool. It was fun, but it wasn't.
Is it one of those
you go watch
crazy movies to where it's bad enough it's actually kind of entertaining? Or
it's this one. You know what it is? It's just too goofy. There's all this goofiness in it, and it's like, for instance. It's just, you watch it and like none of it is real. It's like you're watching a cartoon.
I like cartoons.
I know it's not a good.
Is it the whole China thing is what bothers me? Is it like, is there a lot of, we're doing this for the glory of great government?
No, there's not that, but there is a Chinese character in the movie that Halle Berry just has a Chinese exchange student living at her house. This hot Chinese girl, and she's like, well, I am your Chinese exchange student. And you're like, oh, okay. Who's probably some famous actress in China.
He's a spy.
Her and Halle Berry's son speak, I don't know if it's probably Cantonese. He's learning Chinese. And it was wacky. It was Professor Gray brings in up in the chat Anvil of God. Actually, Anvil of Stars. If I could make any science fiction book, Greg Bears, he wrote 2 books, The Forge of God and Anvil of Stars. Anvil of Stars, you could make Anvil of Stars on its own. You don't have to do The Forge of God. But Anvil of Stars is one of my, if someone said, Rob, you can have $100 million and make anything you want, one of the things I would make is Greg Bear's book, Anvil of Stars.
Have you ever happened to have read The Wanton Seed by Anthony Burgess?
No, but I would, because it's Burgess. I haven't read that.
Yeah, you'd like that because it's like a dystopian future, and It's not quite like today, but there's a lot of similar things, I'll say. But yeah, I think that'd be up your alley. That'd be something that I always thought would make a fun movie. Not a fun movie, but a good movie, kind of like one of those, the 70s movies we used to get, like Soylent Green and Logan's Run. And
have you guys watched High Rise with Tom Hiddleston?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta. It's on HBO Max. It's a hoot, and it's also based on a J.G. Ballard book.
What's he doing in there?
You got to watch it.
All right.
Trust me. If you have HBO Max, watch High Rise. Don't even read anything about it. Just watch it.
Okay. We have a special guest in the back room. Allow me to introduce to you the one, the only George the Giant Slayer.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Hey, George.
How you doing, Script? Robert? Valiant?
How are you, man? You were great on Hot Toys.
Oh, thank you. I loved it. I had a great time. Hey, Jesse. How you doing,
Robert? He says he hadn't heard my...
Good evening.
He said he hadn't heard my brand.
I hadn't. That was brilliant. I loved it. That was brilliant. Brilliant.
Thank you, sir. How you doing?
Doing great. Doing great. Just finally beat traffic.
George wouldn't have that Batman toy you showed earlier up behind him.
Fuck no.
Just compare. I mean,
neither would Robert. He would be like, "What the fuck?
What are you talking about?"
The new toys are like Bland City, dude. Like, I don't know what kid would want to buy this gray on gray action figure that doesn't move, but whatevs.
What, that was statue?
I got my Rorschach today. I haven't opened it.
Oh, really? The custom one?
The one from So Toys, yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen
these are actually popcorn toppers, but the toys aren't much better. They really don't look much different because we showed pictures of those too. But Script Doctor shared these earlier. These are the popcorn toppers.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yikes.
Oh, yeah, I saw somebody posted those a couple days ago. Maybe it was Script. Yeah.
So who's playing Catwoman? Blanche from Golden Girls?
No, it's Zoe
Kravitz.
Yeah, every time Rue McClanahan, every time we show that, I'm going to make a different joke.
The long trailer was playing in front of the movie last night. It looks really epic. I can't believe it's a 3-hour long movie. I love it.
I like that last trailer turned me off.
You're going to watch the Batman movie? They got Bondage Riddler.
Bring out the Gimp.
The only thing that I'm worried about is how it's going to be. Like, we talked about this before, Tom, like the possible interpretation. What do you think of it, Robert? It looks like he's going to be more of a grunge, almost verging on insanity kind of bats.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be, like I was explaining to, a 3-hour movie. I'm sure it's going to be, I don't know why, but it reminds me of something David Fincher would direct, like Zodiac, where you had multiple characters following multiple tracks. And I think that, it'll be interesting to see. I'm excited because it looks different. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of, Batman fighting another villain. There's probably a lot more to it than just that. And it looks like it's a lot more grounded, right, like in the real world, which I think is going to be.
I hope it's good.
I don't think it looks grounded in the real world at all. How can a Batman move in heavy metal armor like that?
Well, no, that's my one issue. You're right, Script there. But Robert, remember in the trailer scene where they have him, they're unloading on him with those machine guns. I'm like, how is Bat taking that?
Yeah, I'm curious too. I don't know.
Easy, it's impossible.
Right. I always
the United States military can't do that yet.
Well, right, but this
he
is
stole vibranium from the Marvel universe and brought it back here to make.
I just don't know how anybody could sit here as Batman and not giggle.
No, I'm not prejudging anything. All I know is every movie I go to, I'm always open for it to be great.
I already judged, juried, and executed this piece of crap.
See, to me, that I don't know. As a kid wanting Batman toys, like that's not the version I'd want to buy.
I call bullshit. That guy there that's playing Catwoman has bigger boobs than Zoe Kravitz does.
Wow, that's like low.
It looks like a dude's face. I'm sorry, that looks like young Keanu Reeves right there.
It's not a very attractive piece of product there. It just looks, and it just doesn't look. I've seen other Batman toys.
Actually, the Pattinson behind her is not that bad looking.
Like, I'm talking about the two standing in front.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm worried about is if too many people, normies, everyday people, are still associate him with Twilight, and that's what turns him off.
Well, you know, he's done some really great work. Like
He
if you
does.
saw Good Time, I thought he was great in Good Time, and
Metropolis.
he was in High Life, which I thought was
Yeah, but a
pretty-
lot of other people haven't, Robert. That's the thing, is a lot
Yeah,
of
it's
people
true.
haven't seen him. And that's what I keep saying to people is like, you know, even though he said, oh, I was kidding, even though he got busted for not kidding about not working out, it's like, dude, he should be taking this seriously because
He just looks like a little moody emo bitch.
Well-
I can't see a figure of strength from this person.
unless he
It's
enjoys
never gonna happen.
Which, if he enjoys doing the independent features, fine, get used to doing that, because unless you knocked it out of the park with this man, that's the whole thing, is most people know him as the guy from Twilight. They have not seen The Lighthouse. They have not seen all these other movies he's been in. Even Tenet failed to really gain a big audience. So nobody's really seen him do much outside of those. So this was his next chance to becoming a leading man, right? Like this is his platform. So he better hope it's good, and it better be a success, because otherwise he's just going to be doing independent features for the rest of his life.
I wanted to ask Robert. I agree with you there. That's what I'm worried about. And it doesn't help when he actually tells everybody, I don't want to work out. I mean, my mother even asked me about that. She was listening in the radio in traffic. She's like, this was like 4 weeks ago. She goes, did you know that the new Batman doesn't want to work out? I was like, what? How do you know about that? I mean, when it made Fox News, it was, you know, it reached normies, is my whole point. And that's not a good look.
Yeah, I mean, I just
the costumes, man. Who came up with this shit?
It's
I
not
just
that
have
it's
to
the
wait. I'm gonna wait and you know, I wait
yeah,
to see.
of course.
I hope it's good, Robert. I really do.
I
I
do
mean,
too.
like you, I'd rather be surprised
Cosmo.
thinking that I'm not going to enjoy something than wanting to go in now, you know, hoping it's going to be bad, right? Like nobody
Yeah.
ever wants that.
See, personally, I'm more the guy who says, look, that trailer just looks like shit, so I'm not giving them any money. I don't care if it's good. Y'all can tell me later.
No, but I do try to give
I'll watch
everything a
it for
chance,
free.
Jesse, no matter what anybody says.
See, I don't.
have to.
I made my own decision based upon the trailer.
Right,
Well,
but
that's
don't you
fair.
It
think
looks,
that's a little
terrible to me. So
right? But have you never been surprised? Like you see a bad
I have been
trailer?
surprised at movies,
No, I'm
but
saying
this
like
ain't
you
going to
see-
be it.
But aren't you kind of prejudging it then?
Yes,
Okay.
To a degree,
Well,
I mean,
but-
that's what the trailer is for. The
based on
trailer is
everything
either
that's
to
happened in
entice
my
you
life
or-
up
or
until
not.
this
If
point,
it
yes,
doesn't
I am
entice you,
prejudging
then
this trailer.
That's
Right.
not the person who's watching the trailer's fault. That's
No, it's
In
not.
most
No.
cases, like, and
You're
again, I
right.
agree with.
Yeah, it's
I
the people who
agree.
made the shitty Batman
Look,
movies fault.
As far as you know, like normally I'd be like, oh, you know, you should kind of give anything a chance. But at the same time, Jesse is right, because this is a 3-hour fucking movie.
Well,
So
yeah,
I can
there's
understand
giving
somebody
it a
going
chance.
like, yeah,
Good
giving
thing,
it a
because there's not
chance.
going to be a sequel.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say there's giving it a chance, and then there's, you know, giving it a chance in the sense that I'm gonna go out, spend 3 hours, 4 hours going back and forth to a theater, spending $15 or $20 for a ticket versus, look, I'll give it a chance when it hits HBO Max or something, 45, 60 days after release, I'll check it out. You know,
I think
versus
if like accepting stuff like this is like handicapping for mediocrity.
No, I agree with you completely in that aspect, Jesse. But I've been to movies where I love the trailer and the movie let me down. All I was saying was is the trailer, it can be bad. I didn't really like the trailer. I liked a piece of it here and there, but I try to go into a movie at least a little bit more
I'll
neutral.
tell you this though.
Can I refer you guys back to the picture of the Riddler?
Well, I will say this: there's been more movies where the trailer has been better than the movie in the last 20 years than the other. way
Suicide
around.
Squad. Oh, God,
That's the
no.
problem we have.
but that's
Suicide Squad was amazing. How good the trailer is and how bad that
Shit,
first
even
movie was.
Scream is a
Right.
prime example of how the trailer's infinitely better than the movie
Right.
wound up being. The new one, I mean.
But that's
yeah.
a product of good marketing, and like I said, that's what marketing departments are supposed to do, is to get people's butts into the theater seats, have them walk in, open their wallets, pay money to go see the movie. They don't care whether the movie that they're cutting a trailer for is actually really good or not. Their job is to get you to go see it. So if you have a bad trailer, then if the movie, you're right, it absolutely could be a fantastic movie, and the trailer's awful, well, I blame it on the marketing.
I
But, you know,
agree.
eventually good word of mouth, hopefully with movies like that, will say, hey, no, this is really good. You got to go see it. And then some of those people that might be reluctantly on the sidelines, Jesse included, maybe. I mean, if Tom comes back and says the movie was great, Robert says it's great, script says it's great, George says it's great, whatever, Jesse might be like, all right, you know, these guys love it, and they have tastes on films that are in line with mine most of the time, so maybe I really will enjoy it and I'll go see it. But that's what you got to hope for to have happen.
Right.
I mean, look at what, from a broad marketing perspective, and we've talked about this obviously many times with Marvel since Phase 4 started. You know, it's like Shang-Chi wasn't as bad as it was made out to be based on all the marketing that led up to it, because they marketed it as anything but an actual Marvel movie. It kept talking about stuff that didn't matter, like the ethnicity of the cast was all I heard for 2 months. Then it was the same thing with the Eternals, talking about the cast is this and that and the other thing, and it's like I don't give a shit. Is it a good movie or not? What's the movie about? So you can have bad marketing and have good movies behind them, but you know, look, I mean, if the trailer's bad, then you're not helping your movie, period. If your marketing's bad, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. The first Suicide Squad, that's the one that's just called Suicide Squad, or it's the next one that's the one with the Joker.
Suicide Squad is David Ayers, and then the Suicide Squad is James Gunn's.
There's the bad one and the good one with that series.
Yeah, the David Ayers one, I love that trailer. I watched that trailer, I think 20 times, especially with that Queen soundtrack that it was playing. But then when I saw it, But again, I went into Spider-Man No Way Home on the first day. I'm like, this is going to be, just after seeing Eternals, 2 months before, I'm like, this is going to be horrible. And it knocked me out. I loved it. So
I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people really bag on that first film, and I thought it was great. I mean, of course, I saw the extended cut, which I thought was very good. The theatrical release, I can understand why people didn't like it as much. But again, I think it's because I didn't get an opportunity because of other things to see it in the theater. So when I saw it, I saw the extended cut. I still am interested in seeing what was shot that we didn't get to see. How the story was supposed to be put together. I mean, with all the reports of the behind the scenes studio interference, I kind of feel like most of the DC films at that time were getting interfered with constantly. So I really would like to see what Ayer actually intended,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not 100%. It's not going to be a night and day difference to what is actually out there, because again, Ayer didn't get another director coming in and reshooting his film. Like what the studio did is they took it away from him after he had already submitted his edit.
Okay. But I thought Ayer said it's completely different. Didn't he? Remember that letter that he wrote?
Well, you can make a completely different film with editing. Absolutely.
Okay.
But I mean, the criticisms that I have always heard from it, and some of the ones that I shared because I was actually part of that production, is that some of the scenes aren't very good. The acting is quite good. There's no doubt about that, but some of the scenes aren't really quite good, and the story itself overall was kind of lackluster, and that's just the way it is. I mean, I'm certain there's probably a superior cut to the Ayer, like Ayer's cut is probably superior, but I don't think you're going to see anything that's going to blow you away and be like, oh my god, like this is this is the movie. I don't think you're going to get that from there, because Ayer himself had his own restrictions with regards to writing that film, because it had to fit in line with everything else that was coming beforehand.
Okay.
And I mean, I would just wish I was like deep enough into the production where I could have actually met him and some of the other people, but I was in, props and set design. I was never privy to seeing the director or anything. I always worked with proxies. So yeah.
Do you ever know why? Because I've never figured out why he went that way with Joker, with the grill and the tats on the forehead damaged. Was that just his style, or it didn't feel like
more Jared Leto than anything else?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, his backstory was he became the Joker after many years of being a prison wench.
You don't want no beef.
Yeah, right. That guy would have killed him.
Robert, what movie are you looking forward to this year? Like really looking forward to? Indie or big, or in the cinema big? I guess what would you call it?
What would I?
Franchise.
I'd have to look. There was I'm drawing a blank. We did a whole thing on what we were excited about for coming out, and now I'm drawing a blank on all of them. And none of my list had comic books on it, comic book movies. So here, let me go through this and
as far as
find out.
those go, the one I was looking the most forward to, besides maybe Morbius was Doctor Strange till I saw that trailer, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know, unless they're holding off.
The Northman, Robert.
I forgot about that.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see Jordan Peele's movie Nope, because I have no idea what it's about. Like,
Haven't
what
heard
is
of
it?
Okay.
Yeah,
Nope.
I'm looking forward to. I think, it's Woody Harrelson's in a movie comedy called The Man from Toronto,
Oh yeah, yep.
which actually looks kind of interesting.
I want to see Olivia Wilde's new movie Don't Worry, Darling.
Oh yeah,
That could be cool. And then Babylon, Damien Chazelle's new movie,
Mhm.
which is all about Hollywood as it transitions to the sound era.
Oh wow.
And then Scorsese's
That sounds interesting.
Killers
Yeah, it
of the
does.
Flower Moon. You know, I really want to see that. 'cause
Scorsese's
it's
got a new one.
Yeah, because that. And I have to tell you, I really want to see Avatar too.
Is
because-
it coming out finally? Because I keep.
It's supposed to
It's
be.
supposedly. I mean, it's you know,
Place your
say-
bets.
Say one thing about James Cameron. He's never the man has pushed the R&D for the film industry forward since '88,
The
and
Abyss.
we'll see what he does. Yeah, and I want to see Bullet Train.
Bullet Train. I haven't heard of that one.
It's a novel, a satirical novel. Brad Pitt plays an assassin
Mhm.
on a speeding train with 4 of the contract killers, all trying to kill the same person.
Ah.
And I think it's by one of the John Wick directors. I
Oh.
mean, just as an action movie, I want to see that.
Yeah.
And I want to see the Nicolas Cage movie.
You know,
the
if there-
unbearable
if there's-
weight of massive talent.
If there's 4 contract killers trying to kill one guy in a train and they meet up with each other, you think at least one of them would just be like, "Well, I'll go have a tea,"
Yeah.
down to 3.
But I think there's a lot. It's cool seeing that there's some interesting stuff coming out, which I think is
Yeah, you've excited me with some of that. I haven't heard of all of those. I'm gonna look them up.
yeah. I mean, there's I mean, I do want to see Batman. I want to see what they do with it. And then John Wick got pushed, so that's not coming out anymore.
Why
I
is
know.
that?
I
Why?
was so disappointed about that.
Oh,
That's
really?
the movie I was looking forward
Yeah.
to. Now it's
happened?
backed up a whole year.
Well,
Yeah.
it's coming, and 5 is coming after that too, so it's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but why? I was
Still want
waiting
to wait
for that.
another year.
There's many gangsters that need a headshot.
Well, they
Yeah.
they also pushed the 2 Mission Impossible films back a whole year
Yeah.
each.
I know, but I
Yeah.
do want to see Top Gun though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Maverick.
I think part of that
Come
it, was,
on.
it got daisy chained because you had the Marvel pushbacks, and then you had Top Gun got pushed back, which probably necessitated that they push back the Mission Impossible stuff.
Actually, it was the other way around.
Why
Mission
was it-
Impossible
one of
got
them- okay.
delayed, so they pushed Top Gun into its spot because they didn't really have any reason to drop it yet.
Then why
Right.
did
I
Wick?
figured that-
Imagine
Why
if
did
Top
Wick
Gun
get
comes
pushed?
out and it's like really good.
Why did
That'd
what
be
get pushed, George?
Why did
Sorry.
John
Why did
Wick-
Wick? Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on there.
They didn't really specify, but I remember that announcement came not long after the whole Marvel shift, and then Doctor Strange was going to wind up in May, and I think originally Wick was supposed to be like the weekend before that, I think, or
oh.
something. I don't know. I mean, that could have had something to do with it, but yeah, I was surprised they slotted it back an entire year until May of 23. I was like,
The way it is lately, man, it's like it just following the week to week like that's got to be too hard because everything's getting pushed back all the time. So it's easier to just be like, "Oh, that's coming out next month." Okay.
mhm.
This is going to be a silly question, I know, but it's do the studios work with each other when they do release dates, or is this just each one sets their own schedule and other people like do they consult each other? I'm going to do this movie on this month, this weekend, and or does anyone know how that works?
I don't think they consult with each other, but they're very aware.
Oh,
Yeah, they're like ping pong off each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. They usually don't try to like if you go pull up, either the numbers or Box Office Mojo is good where they have a long range calendar of release dates, and you can see, and that's why I mean you still have stuff that's slotted 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years from now, untitled Disney movie. Untitled Universal Summer Blockbuster. That's
Yeah.
literally what it'll say, something like that on there. And they pick their dates far enough in advance to basically say, hey, look, we're going to take this weekend. We know we're going to have something coming out. And that way, if Universal puts something on June 22nd, 2025, then, Paramount's not going to come in and put their blockbuster that same weekend or something like that. They'll go a week or two before, after. And look, at the end of the day, it's beneficial for everyone, because when everybody starts stepping on one another's toes, all it does is shank everybody's box office, especially over weekends. So nobody wants to go head to head with another major film on the same weekend. Sometimes you kind of can't help it, especially traditionally in the summer when you have so many big movies coming out. Now, fortunately, that's probably not going to be the case anymore. It seems like that's going to slag off quite a bit. We've seen all the major.
No, but I think what you get with UHF, man. Put UHF up against Batman, see what happens.
Well, and I think that's
thanks a lot, guys.
We're going to get back to more of the classic style of releasing, and I think a lot of these smaller things are going to go straight to streaming, and the bigger, more prestigious things are going to be the theatrical releases, and we are going to go back down to 50 some movies a year from all the studios, as opposed to one studio putting out that many. Aiken sends in $7.99 from Australia. Thank you. Good day. Good day, mate. All looks like we're gonna get a Jack Reacher that looks like Jack. I'm not familiar with the actor. Do you have any hopes for it? I'm not too familiar with it, but I've heard some people are pretty excited about it. Anybody here?
Yeah, you mean the Amazon one?
Yeah.
That's the actor, isn't it, from the Teen Titans? That's all I know him from.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see that show. Looks really good.
You sorry, this is the same Jack Reacher character that Tom Cruise did?
Yeah, it's the same one.
Okay.
Yeah, but they got a new series with a new guy. Yeah,
and he's Hawk with the Hawk and Dove pair in Teen Titans.
I know. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Master or something. No, he's I know who he is. Crap. Why am I forgetting his name?
He's really big and tall. Much different than Tom Cruise, yeah.
Alan Richardson, that's the one. Yeah,
Oh.
Alan Richardson. No, yeah, I know him. Well, I've worked with him twice before. He's a really cool guy. He's a great pick for Jack Reacher.
Oh,
there you go.
Great. Well, that's about all I know about it.
I know some people are pretty excited for it, though.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Morbius.
The only thing I'm really looking forward to see what they do with it is the Craven the Hunter movie. Because I hope it's good.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think, will do a good job.
Yep. It's supposed to be.
He's a good actor.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to Morbius too.
Morbius, yeah.
Is he tall though? That kid? Aaron?
Which one?
Aaron.
He's decent size and he's yoked, man. He's been working out like a beast.
Yeah,
because ever since Kick-Ass 2, he's been getting bigger and bigger.
Oh yeah, he's huge.
Giant. Yeah.
Did you get the? I know this is a major change in gears, but Robert, did you get the new Criterion 4K for Hard Day's Night?
I have not got that. I heard there was some problem though.
I confirmed it. Yes, they fucked it up. There's some. They screwed up 2 shots in the movie, at least 2, if not 3. Well, I don't know how they did this. It's fine on the Blu-ray, which is mastered from the same 4K master, but on the 4K version, there's a shot of John completely out of place during the last music performance during the broadcast. He's like completely out of sync, and then if you check the original version, it's like completely different shot there. And then they repeat a shot twice instead of a shot that's supposed to be in a completely other shot. Here, I got them here.
That's odd.
I don't know how they fucked it up. I really don't. It's
easy.
Really,
they were doing it at 3:30 in the morning and fell asleep, and nobody checked it.
Well, and I've been thinking, I've been talking to people, and I think there's a way we could QC these to help with the QC problems that a lot of these have been having, and that is get these discs out to guys like Robert and myself and all these other reviewers and stuff, Bill Hunt and the Digital Bits. Let us QC them while we get a review copy at the same time. Kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Then we can report back to them if there's any problems, right?
It's really frustrating because a lot of the people, I have to say, I had a really good QC experience when I was working on Tango Shalom. There were things I looked at this movie for 5 years. There were things in it I had never seen before, like a light stand that I had just never seen, because you just think, oh, it's part of the set. And I was like, what? When you look at it, I was like, no way. So good QC people are great. It's just hard to find them. I mean, there's a lot of people that just don't know, and it's very frustrating.
So yeah, basically, this shot here,
And this was
used
after it went to
twice.
mass production.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
This shot was used twice instead of this shot the second time. It's proper in the Blu-ray, but not on the 4K.
That's really, really.
And I noticed
odd.
it when I watched it, but I'm like, it had been
Was
like,
the-
I don't know,
Was
10
the
years
Blu-ray
since I saw
rendered
it.
from an older file? Or
I
was
don't
this
know. Must
all-
have been. They
Yeah,
must
there's
have
no way-
reconstructed it again. Yeah.
Yeah, because usually when you're reconstructing a film like this, you've rescanned it, you're remastering, it's going into technically a brand new timeline kind of thing. And
Mhm.
I mean, you're hitting one export to go to 4K, H.265 or whatever they're using, and then you're hitting another export for H.265. You're not changing anything.
No, it's the same, but those are clearly, with those changes, they're not this. They were not mastering from the same file.
No.
That's what I'm saying is they couldn't have been. Yeah,
No,
it
because I didn't
couldn't have
even
been-
because I had the Miramax version that was released a few years back here to compare it. I didn't even have to go to that one because it's correct on the Criterion Blu-ray from last year, but they just repackaged that Blu-ray with the 4K.
Maybe he
that
had
one-
two windows opening and he was like layer saving where like
No,
he'd
they must
save
have
on one to work on
they
one, then
redid it like
save that
Robert
one to
said.
work. I don't know.
But then how did that?
somebody it did stupid stuff like I did this morning. Like, you don't realize it. Okay, you finished one export and then you go back and your hand slips over and you hit Command Z and you undo something and you don't know you undid it and then you hit export again and then that's it. I mean, unless like I said, unless the Blu-ray came from whatever reason from a completely different set of mastering, but that would be really bizarre. I mean, unless it was older, unless it was like, yeah, we just used the one that we did 10 years ago for the Blu-ray or whatever.
Which they've done.
Well, no, the Blu-ray came from a 4K scan, but evidently they redid it again for the 4K Blu-ray, which that's the only thing I can think of. So
yeah,
oh, but good catch,
Tom. Have you heard anything if they're ever going to release the extended Lord of the Rings version onto the extra 20 minutes that's supposed to be on the extended version?
Well, the man to ask would be Robert Meyer Burnett.
Well, they've released the extended versions on 4K.
But he's talking about, I think, the other additional footage.
I always read every so often they're like, at some point Jackson's going to release. There's an extra 20 minutes on the extended version.
Well, there's the 3 extended versions that have come out, and those are the
Right.
definitive extended versions. But as far as I know, there's a lot of stuff that we saw that hasn't been released. Like the Lord of the Rings movies were very iterative when they were making them, so there were things that they went down a road that they just abandoned. Sequences and things like that. But for the most part, I mean, they spent $20 million on Return of the King just doing, because the extended version's almost an hour longer.
I love it.
And yeah, and they it was really interesting to work on those because I think the extended versions is the definitive versions of those movies.
Absolutely.
And they're not, because when we were doing what really bummed me out is the 4K Ultimate sets, they didn't include any of the documentaries we spent years working on.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting. When is that coming out? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
you.
I don't think they're ever going to do that. I think they figure if you want the documentaries, you already have them on the Blu-rays.
I was
on
going
the
to say,
standard.
that's why I kept the Blu-rays.
They have the new release coming, or it has come out already. But all they did, Robert, was just throw in the Blu-rays from the extended version. Yeah.
Well, I think the real problem is, back when we did those, there was no HD, so those documentaries are in standard def. And what I think is really unfortunate, like for instance, I made a documentary on a feature length that's 88 minutes on the making of Tron, and they did put it on the Blu-ray, but like they're not going to put it on Disney Plus. And I'm like, shit, man.
No, but you were telling me, Robert, and I think you even said it on the show. So hopefully, I'm not saying anything that's shouldn't be. But like you even said, there's a bunch more behind the scenes stuff that has never seen the light of day. That's the thing that bothers me is they re-release these so many times now.
Are we ever going to get to see all of it, all the material?
Oh no. There's because when you it's not for any reason, not nefarious purposes, but like for instance, on Fellowship of the Ring, I talked about this a lot. I flew to London and interviewed Christopher Lee.
Oh, I want to see that.
I interviewed him for 5 hours, and there's probably about 10 minutes of that interview that made it into those documentaries. Because
that's insane.
But he was actually the only one there who had been friends with Tolkien.
Yeah, no, it was amazing, and that's true of like I look at on Superman Returns. I made a 3-hour documentary on the make. I have 1,500 hours of footage I shot. on the making of that film.
So what happens with stuff like a 5-hour thing with Chris Lee? I mean, people who are just horror fans love to eat.
Oh, and I
stuff like
asked
that,
Robert
even if
about
it's
that.
not
I
about
said,
that, you know,
we basically it'd be nice, but he'd probably have to get a bunch of clearances and stuff to be able to release it on your own, right?
I mean, I think you couldn't, like, it's owned by theoretically it's owned by the studio. And normally when you shoot all this stuff, when you turn in, like, you're contractually, the way that it works is, so before I would get a budget approved to do a special edition, I would have to make a scope of work or a proposal that said, okay, I'm going to do these special features. And for this, and they're going to give me this much money. And so you then have to deliver those special features. Now, theoretically, in order to do that, you know, you have to go interview all of the actors, you know, and usually those interviews last a long time. Like, you could end up interviewing an actor. The project that I think we milked the most out of when I was doing Star Trek The Next Generation, we had 4 hours with each of the principal actors. We used almost every bit of their interviews over the course, because we did them over. We got 2-2-hour sessions with each principal actor, and then we talked about all 7 seasons. So I think we pretty much milked every bit of information from those actors. But a lot of the time, you know, you might do a 2-hour interview with somebody and you only use 10 minutes of it or 20 minutes of it, because some of it doesn't necessarily, when you're cutting your documentary, matter. And there's a lot of things you go off on tangents and things like that. It's unfortunate, because there's so much interesting stuff. Like Michael Pellerin, who was my boss on Lord of the Rings, would interview Peter Jackson for like 15 hours for each movie over the course of days. And while he's in a lot of those documentaries, those interviews, a lot of those interviews made it in, but still there's hours worth of stuff we've never heard from. And I often said, and I said this, I've said this to every, it is gold. And I said, you know, it would really be interesting if, just for history's sake, if you would release the raw interviews.
Yeah, I want to see
know,
all of that.
You could, I think people, and charge a subscription for it. But then again, you'd have to, then the studio legal teams would have to go through and vet everything and say, well, you can say this, but you can't say that. And I mean, it was really interesting. So, and this is the kind of stuff you deal with. So Ron Moore was talking about, on Star Trek The Next Generation, they wanted to do a story where the Enterprise rolls up to this planet that was basically having a genocidal war. And one side was basically putting the other side in ovens, you know, like it was a Holocaust allegory. And Roddenberry said, and so this, Ron Moore is telling this story. I was interviewing Ron Moore, and he tells a story where Roddenberry said, well, the Enterprise can't stop this war. They have to allow it to continue, because that's a violation of the Prime Directive. You know, so Ron, and I thought that's an interesting story. The episode never got made. I get back a letter from because the legal team has to look at everything. The legal team says, you can't say that, you have to cut this story out. And I was like, why would you? And the lawyers were saying that you can't imply that Gene Roddenberry was anti-Semitic. And I'm like,
he's not
Jewish, man. Like, anti-Semitic. I'm like, this is first of all, this is an interesting
philosophical debate.
about the Prime Directive. And Ron Moore was just using the Holocaust to equate what was going on when he said it's a genocidal war, when literally one side was. And it's so weird, because then the legal department comes back and tells you, well, you can't say that. And then what I would think is an interesting story to tell will get lost to time. And like when I was working on the Star Trek V disc and I was recording Shatner's commentary, a lot of the commentary, his commentary was cut out. The lawyers made me cut it out, because he talks about how the character of Sybok, the Lawrence Luckinbill character, the villain in Star Trek V, was inspired by Timothy Leary. And Shatner had in his mind, you know, dropping LSD and expanding your consciousness and all that. And that's what his conception of the character was when he was writing the story. And I'm like, well, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And that he had Timothy Leary. And then I get back from the lawyers are like, you can't mention drug use in Star Trek. And I look back and I'm like, but I can give you 10 episodes of Star Trek that deal with drugs, beginning with the episode Mudd's Women, with the Venus drug, or the first season of
they had
Next Generation. Yeah,
Symbiosis. Funny is that
Symbiosis, and you say this stuff, and they look at you like you're crazy.
Which is funny considering what we've gotten now out of them. But anyway, sorry.
I was going to say all the writers of Discovery are on drugs now. So
well, it's just
Valiant is spot on.
It's a really interesting question, when you're doing all this stuff and you're talking to people. Like, it's weird that people's experiences or their opinions nowadays, and it's subtle, but I know these publicly held corporations, a lot of the time when they have the disclaimer, Paramount, or they don't take responsibility for what people say, you'd think that would be enough, but it's really not. They're still policing the thoughts of others. And Shatner's, part of the reason I ended up leaving working on that disc was because I promised Shatner he would get a fair shake and talk about this, and they want to cut everything out. And it's like, but how is that a problem?
Does it get lost though to time? I mean, does no one ever see that material?
No, because nowadays a lot of it, especially the stuff in the early days of DVD from like 2000 to 2006 or 7, was shot in standard def video. And like then the studios, they don't need. They're like, well, we're not going to put it on our HD system.
Well, there's all
won't look good.
Well, it's not just that. It's the extra bullshit of having to get through the licensing and all that kind of stuff too. They don't want to deal with half the time and paying people and everything else.
No, it's true. It's absolutely true. I was hearing something on NPR today that Mike was telling me, my business partner was telling me that there was a YouTuber who had all of these Dragon Ball videos removed from YouTube.
Oh yeah,
and like 150 videos because they violate. They don't. It's not fair use
Toynami.
of Japan.
It's Toynami. Yeah, he made this whole video. It's about how Toynami constantly kept hitting his videos. Like he got a notice about the first one. And then within 24 hours, it was like 25. And then another 48 hours, it was like 100. Then it was 100. It kept building. And the thing about him is when you listen to him, I mean, you really feel bad for him. But he has a team that actually creates the cells. So he's not really using their material.
Right.
So he's like, and I'm doing it in reference to a review. Yeah, they really hit him hard.
And it's such a weird, like, I understand, like, everyone has to protect their IP, but we live in such a weird time where with YouTube and all of these consumers are able to make their own videos and talk about things and fair use and music. And it's such a strange thing that we can or we can't talk about the things that we love and use whatever it was or something. Yeah, Toei Animation, that's what it is. Nicholas, thank you for that. But it's strange. We live in because they never understood. Like in the early 80s, for instance, I remember the first time I bought John Carpenter's The Thing, and the song Superstition was not on that disc. And Universal had problems. It was movies in 82, like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. They had to swap out some of the music.
Well, that was a common thing throughout the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. And they couldn't license. Like the reason it took Miami Vice forever to come out on home video is because it took forever.
Wonder Years and WKRP as well.
Yeah. And one of my favorite TV shows of all time, Wise Guy, has a whole story arc at a record label where they can't ever release it and Glenn Fry's in it because the music rights were never cleared. And
they still haven't fixed National Lampoon's Vacation. They still haven't cleared the rights for I'm So Excited. It still has another song on it on video.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a bizarre because nobody understood when they were making these deals that there would be home video and stuff like that. And you
never liked the way it ended. Wise Guy. I love that show.
Oh, it ended badly.
Horrible.
But it's interesting because a lot of them you can go back. I go back and watch the episodes. Like the first season was great.
Oh yeah.
And then the second season, it was wildly varying in terms of quality. And then the third season was kind of, they tried to make it like Twin Peaks or something. And then Stephen Bauer for that fourth season when they Ken Wall left. But there's a lot about that show that became a precursor for what we have today in terms of serialized storytelling.
Steven, aka Deleted Scene, says, was there a movie from last year that the panel thinks didn't get a fair shot? My choice would be Old Henry. That's one that people keep recommending. I haven't got a chance to see. Says Tim Blake Nelson deserves an Oscar now.
Yeah, I keep hearing about that Western that he's in.
So you're talking about, well, is that movie eligible for this year's Oscars then, or was that from the year before? So it's not. Because
No,
I
I
need.
Oh, I don't know. That's a good
If we're
question.
going for the year before, that would be movies that didn't get a fair shot this last time around. Boy,
I liked the
Yeah.
film. I liked it. It was a little slow though.
so we're talking like 2020 movies, basically.
Well, no, I'm thinking he's talking about right now, 2021, that are up for
Well,
nomination right
we
now.
don't know. It still might get one, but I don't know if it will. But like, yeah, like if it that I don't know what year it came out. Did it come out this year or the year before? Is my question.
Old Henry came out last year.
So
Yeah,
it'd be up for a
2021.
possible. It's eligible for this year's Oscars. Is my
I mean,
question.
regardless if it is or not, he's just asking us what movies did we see last year that we thought might be should have had
Oh,
a
okay.
better
I thought
notice,
that I
too.
misunderstood the question.
Yeah,
It
he's just
was
saying that the
released in
performance
21.
deserved an Oscar nom, but overall, it looks like he's asking any movies that came out last year that probably didn't get the notoriety it deserved.
Gotcha. It says it was released October 21.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'd love to see
Um,
Finch get a shot, but it was only on Apple TV. And I don't think that's going to qualify.
Hmm.
I don't know, did y'all see that one?
I liked it.
I haven't
Finch,
seen
I
it.
loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was.
What's that
wonderful.
about?
Finch, it's a Tom Hanks. It's another one of these Tom Hanks movies that Apple TV bought, just like after they did with Greyhound. I guess they went back and
Oh.
said, hey, let's do another one.
Okay.
So think of Will Smith's I Am Legend meets
Oh.
Wall-E.
Okay. Hey, I like that.
You know,
Ooh.
it's really well done. It's simple. It's basically Tom Hanks carries the whole movie by himself along with this robot he builds, and it's great. It really, I loved it.
You sold me at Robot.
I just saw Tom Hanks do a cameo in 1883 because I finished Yellowstone and I started the prequel 1883, and I'm like, is that Tom Hanks? I stopped it and looked it up. He did a cameo as a Union, I think, colonel or general. I'm not sure.
I seen he returned to his role from the Simpsons movie.
Yep,
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Do you remember his first role on television where he played? Was it Bosom Buddies or something?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he did a lot of television back then. God, I'm trying to think of something I seen that wasn't like in the last year. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I liked will probably get attention, like Dune and stuff like that. I mean, I wish Ghostbuster had made more money at the box office, but I mean, as far as like actual acting and deserving awards that might not actually get notice, what's her face from Ghostbusters who played Phoebe? I
You think
mean,
McKenna
he's the-
Grace. Yeah.
Kind of great.
McKenna Grace. I thought she did a brilliant job.
I would agree.
She carried that movie. I mean,
Yeah, but they won't give her anything because it's a Ghostbusters movie.
well, that's just it, right? And I mean, I don't know how, you know.
That's a good question. You think any comic or style of film will ever have an actor in
I
the
think
best category?
Eternal. Oh,
Don't you
well,
know how this all works? Half the audience cries at the end of the movie. No awards for you.
there's been a few comic book movies that have gotten some notoriety, but
Outside of Dark Knight.
well, like Black Panther got nominated and stuff like that. I think the Eternals will get some attention this year in the Oscars just because.
Really? You don't think
I
they're going to
do,
ignore
for
it?
No, I think if some way, shape, or form, or Shang-Chi will, something will like that just because.
As long as it's woke, it's in the door.
Well, Eternals
You're not
are going to
wrong.
win every category.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big problems. I mean, the Oscars, and this is, I mean, look, the ratings keep tanking, whether you've seen these movies, whether you like these movies or not, it's really irrelevant. It boils down to, I mean, I remember 25 years ago, I mean, before my dad passed away, watching the Academy Awards with him every year. We used to love to do that
Oh.
because there was movies and actors, and it was like everything that was up, or just about everything that was up, you've seen, you've heard of, you knew what it was. It was, it's like, it was like a Super Bowl, right? You knew who you were rooting for your team.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's
English
just
Patient Zero. It started with
yeah,
Lion
it's and
King
no
buying
offense to
out the
these films, but I
Oscars.
mean, like, they wonder why,
Yeah.
for two reasons, why their audience for the Oscars, these award shows, keep just plummeting.
Well, the right answer is actually Tango Shalom. We should all know that.
I would go with that right there. I would if that gets nominated, I absolutely will. watch
Yeah,
this
no,
forever.
it won't. But no, I just think that the problem is there's now before the major studio movies would also be the ones that garnered the most Oscars with, you know, Miramax or whatever. But now the mainstream who is going to, you know, big budget spectacle movies are not up for the major awards. It's all indie films that
Yeah.
not many people have seen, and
That's
so
it.
that's why they don't tune in.
Well, there's that, and there's also the problem
The
that too many
politics.
people get up on that stage and can't just take their award. They have to use it as a political platform,
Yep.
and it's just bad. No matter if they're espousing one set
Well,
of
that's
views
just
or
the
another.
final nail in the coffin. But
But
Robert's
that-
right.
yeah.
It started with, you know, Weinstein buying up every Oscars, and every year a bunch of movies being nominated that nobody fucking saw. And then eventually nobody gave a shit after a while. And then when they started preaching at us, they're like, we're done.
Yeah.
But I mean, they could get it back, like, because you were right, Valiant. Back in the 70s and 80s, it was like the Super Bowl of movies. It was almost like the
Even into the
prom.
90s. I mean, when you
Yeah,
had
even into the 90s to a point,
It
because
wasn't
then
an
the PC culture kind of came in, and that's when they started using.
I
it as a
can tell you, I
platform, and that's when
remember the
Weinstein
last.
started buying them up. But yeah,
Yeah,
I remember,
last
like-
time I remember really watching it and cheering for movies all through the 90s. I mean, I remember rooting for Unforgiven and Braveheart and
Oh, yeah.
stuff like that. 92, 93, 94. I mean,
well,
maybe
yeah, those are
95,
tough years,
96.
and then you get to English Patient Zero.
right,
Right, but I remember the same thing. I second what Valiant's
Ray
saying. I
Fiennes
used to-
movie, right?
Yeah, I think that was 96 or whatever. and
90, well, 97, I think, was what, Titanic? and
yeah,
then-
but that was a gimme. Everybody
Yeah.
knew that was going to win.
Yeah, oh, I know. And then I
Well,
remember
that was given because look, that was back when it was still this, like, you're right, because that was at least at the point that, like, that was the most expensive movie at that time. Nobody had ever done that before. Of course, it was going to sweep the fucking Oscars. Everybody knew that Return of the King was going to sweep the Oscars too, because everybody knew they were waiting
They
for
were
the last
holding
movie
off.
to give him
Yeah.
all the fucking awards.
yeah.
Exactly.
I remember the first time. I mean, I came out of my chair because I was so mad. I think, was it 97? When was Saving Private Ryan? Was it 97?
I think that was.
I think it was that
98.
year, and then that was the year that it went up against Shakespeare in Love. I think that was the same
Shakespeare
year,
in Love is another Miramax Weinstein,
and it
bought
won.
the
Oh, and I'm
Oscars,
like,
yeah.
how do you not give Saving Private Ryan the? I mean, Shakespeare in Love. I'm like, I think that was the same year, and then maybe As Good as It Gets was in the same. But I mean, I remember still rooting for that, and then as the years went on after, and especially after Return of the King was the last one I watched win an award like that because I was so rooting for it. I don't think I've watched
Well, the other
anything in the
problem
last
is
17
awards
years.
never evolved outside of adding the animated category, which was really just an insult. It was just because everybody was getting pissed that Pixar kept getting nominated in Best Picture. And then fucking they turn around and they add more movies to the Best Picture. It's like, that's not going to fix anything. Like, you never evolved these Oscars. First of all, they should be more like the Golden Globes by now. Anyway, you need separate categories for
Yeah,
shit.
they need more Ricky Gervais.
And not, well, yeah, that too. And not only that, they need to, like, it's long overdue for like a stunt Oscar. There's some other ones that definitely that are long overdue. And if they do these kind of things and they find somebody to actually host that's worth a shit like Ricky Gervais, then people would watch.
You know
Like
what?
that one
Most
year they
people
didn't
don't
have a
watch
host.
this stuff, Tom. Most people are like my mother was. I hate sitting here and watching these people who do nothing give themselves awards.
And no, I know that was the problem it got to, and that was when they started treating it like it was their platform to preach. Prior to that, into the 90s, the 80s, and the 70s, and prior to that, it just used to be a bunch of actors and directors and producers and movie makers getting together, getting drunk, poking fun at each other, and slapping each other on the back. Nobody really saw it as like this bad thing because it was, when you got to actually see these guys, the women like to watch to see who was wearing what on the red carpet. And then when you got to the show,
I miss the days of
Right.
watching Billy Crystal do it. Somebody get him
Oh,
some Viagra and put him back up there again. Let's get, get back
That's
into
what I
the
was
next-
saying. I second what Valiant is saying. And we used to every year at my house. I mean, one year it was
Well, they need to
Amadeus,
find
and it
somebody
was
new.
Schindler's List. And,
they'll never
on and
let
on.
Gervais do
Schindler's
it.
List,
but
that was
they
another
need
good
to
one.
come up with something and
I remember
somebody
rooting for that.
and they
Amadeus
just
was the
cover it.
first one I ever saw the Oscar. My whole family was like, we had dinner.
1984.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had like dinner and just like, okay, we have time. We all have to eat. Everybody was dressed up, and then it was put the Oscars on. You couldn't
No, but
talk.
the perfect point is in 1986, well, in 1987 actually, but the 86 Oscars, Sigourney Weaver got nominated for Aliens, for fuck's sake. That would never happen now.
Nope.
Wasn't Denzel nominated for Training Day, if I remember?
Yeah, he won
Yes,
for
he
that
won.
one. He
That's the
actually
one he
won
finally
for that
won.
one. No, he also won for
Glory.
Glory,
Yeah.
but he didn't win for Malcolm X. That's the one that everybody
See,
thought.
where
Well,
are
the
those
Glory did-
films? See, we need films like that again.
Well,
Amadeus
with Glory,
out
I
of
think
Africa.
he won for. Did
That
he win
was
for best
supporting.
support? Yes, I was about to say
before.
that was his first Best Actor role was Training Day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gladiator. You know.
Lonnie
Yeah.
Holcomb says it was Henry. It was Finch with the robot. I think that's what he said, Lonnie. But
Yeah, Finch. Yeah.
That's what I thought he said, but maybe he misheard you. But
Yeah,
thank you. Just the
Tom
same one.
Hanks in Finch. Yeah. Maybe I misspoke.
Hillis Mallory says, just remember Out of Africa got Best Picture that year. Now tell me Eternals won't get Best Picture. I dare you. I told you it might. Well, at least
It'll probably get nominated or something.
But as far as Best Picture,
No, how? How could it be possible?
it won't win it.
There's
I
some-
mean, and that would just be hilarious. I mean, Marvel's
Oscars in over a
worst ever
decade.
performing film will yeah.
I have not been able to predict the Oscars in so long. But anyhow, I think we're going to start wrapping this up.
Yeah, I got to jump off.
I figured as
I've been
much.
summoned.
Thank you so much, Robert, for hopping in. It's always a blast when we get to talk to you. It's been too long. Hopefully, we get to talk to you again real soon. But yeah, it's always great to get to have you on. Check out the Burnett Work.
Gentlemen,
where you-
always good to talk with all of you.
Where you can find Robert on a daily basis. And also check out George the Giant Slayer. Check out Jesse Miller over at the Crow's Nest. Check out Valiant Renegade, Script Doctor, and Culture Casino as well. And I want to thank everybody in the chat for joining us tonight. So take care of yourselves and each other. And Lonnie Holcomb says, George, how is it called money? It's called money. That's how. Yeah, well, that's always the answer, right? And thank you again, Lonnie Holcomb, and everybody else for the super chats. I missed a Dark King super chat. When?
I must run.
All right, take care, sir.
See you, Robert.
Let's see. All right, I know we got one earlier, right after Robert got here, but
money is the root of all evil, but all strong trees need roots.
If you're talking about the one about the Evangeline, what's her face from
Evangeline Lilly?
Evangeline Lilly?
Yeah, we addressed it, but we kind of moved past it. We're not going to address it too much because we don't need to get shut down. So maybe you missed it when we brought it up. Was that the one, Dark King?
Well, I hope she doesn't get canceled by the commies.
What
Oh,
happened?
they're gonna try, but no, she's a strong Canadian woman. She's not gonna back down on that, especially with what's going on up here right now.
Okay, well then what one was Dark King?
Speaking of Canadian women, whatever happened to this Shania Twain?
Shania
Bully.
Twain-
Oh, we got
so
this
her
one
husband
too.
left her.
Yeah, we got this one too, Dark King. If you're talking about the bully one, yeah, we got that one. Bully justice movies are rarely made because Hollywood, most of the executives are bullies at the high school. Their crowd is getting beat on. Yeah, we got that one.
Patman?
Yeah.
It says Patman.
Patman.
Must have missed it then. Was there any other ones? One about Patman? Where's the
Winky
one about
Patman.
My son is learning how to play the Batman theme.
Sadie, just a minute.
Cool.
I don't see it here. I really wish they would put the super chats in another thing here. Yes, Sadie, just a minute.
It would be so
Yes,
much better.
Sadie, just a minute.
Would be so much better. In fact, what I'm going to do going forward on my side of the StreamYards is just leave the stars in place on all the super chats. That's way I can just filter through all the starred things.
How do you do that?
You just where there's a super chat, there's on the right next to you hit the star on it and it saves it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well, Sadie thinks that's interesting.
I bet. This is,
Still not
this is
seeing-
the stuff you don't.
How
get to
long
see.
ago did he send it? Because I'm like going way back here.
It's a maximum of 2 hours and 27 minutes.
Can you just type it again? Or was
Here it is. I got
Thanks
it.
for that help, script.
Sorry about that, Dark King.
I mean, what else can I say?
Odd that Batman sparkles in direct sunlight. Pretty good.
I think he probably like squints his eyes and cringe a little bit.
Well, he's got eye makeup.
He's sparkly.
Probably hasn't been
Sparkle.
out in a while. Yeah, Batman shouldn't be living on Hot Pockets.
Yeah, he definitely should.
Hot pockets and weed. God.
Special K.
Batman's like, I got all these great ideas, man, but I'm not a mechanic.
Oh.
Like, I got this back computer, man. I'm gonna hook it up. I can watch TV here. I can play a game here. And this extra TV, that's just for whatever.
Oh, shit. And that's why I pay Jesse the big bucks. All right, kids. Good night. Thank you, and we love you.
Have a great weekend.
Take care.